Atop a throne of skulls.
Welcome, my friends, to the Eternal Challenger League Season 4 Qualifier number 6. So today, guys, let's go ahead and begin by taking a look at the tail of the tape. So the first match we're going to have here on stream is going to be Aerocrastic facing off against my son, Herbert Walker. Certainly going to be a very fun best of 3, and the top side of the bracket has yet to be decided because the tournament is still underway. And of course, I believe this tournament had about 40 people playing in it. So the players who played in this tournament have certainly scrapped and fought and clawed their way up here to the top. Some very tough competition. Now, 2 of the players are indeed ready, so we're going to be jumping in pretty quick to Aerocrastic versus my son, Herbert Walker, while Arkin the Black waits for his opponent on the top side of the bracket, which I'll show you guys after a match when we have a little bit of downtime. So here we're going to be jumping over. We have a couple donations coming in right away at the beginning of the stream. Damn, you guys are generous. King Agizal with the $5, unleash the firepower of the fully armed and operational metal intro, which I'm actually working on a new one. Same song most likely, but it'll be coming up soon. Soren Krieger Anderson as well, some of the throngs for battle. We might see some dwarves. I don't know who plays dwarves. Maybe someone on the top side. I don't think Arrow really plays the Dawi, but we'll see. Hopefully we get to see them. And also a donation coming in from Michael Allen, a $5. Been waiting for this all week. I love these streams. Well, glad to hear, man. There's going to be a lot more of these coming up as we do switch over to the lobby. Looks like both players are indeed ready. So just some updates. So this week we're going to be having an ECL frenzy, basically. So on Tuesday and Thursday of this week, I'm going to be hosting Eternal Challenger Leagues. Yeah, probably Tuesday and Thursday to give me a little bit of a cushion. Although maybe Monday, Wednesday. I'm not sure. Monday or Thursday. It'll be sometime during the week. So we're going to have that. And then the next weekend on Sunday, we're having another Faction War. So that format that you guys really liked before, we're going to be having Faction War Round 2. So basically, Faction War is now going to be a once-a-month format where we have it each month. So the February Faction War, this gives me a little bit of time to gather some funds to pay the competitors, as well as getting sponsors. And of course, there's 16 players. So it's a little bit of a tougher schedule to kind of organize. Basically, it's like the length of an Everchosen, usually around 5 hours, give or take. So again, thank you guys so much for joining. First match here of the day is going to be my son, Herbert Walker, facing off against Aerocrastic. Both of these players, again, defeating some serious competition to make it here to the finals. And, well, the top 4, I should say. So these are the semis. And again, all my ECLs now, I start casting from the semifinals. So the tournament's actually much bigger. There's usually between 30 and 60 people, depending on when the tournament is. And if it's not competing with other tournaments that are going on and whatnot. But yeah, it's always a good time. So welcome, guys. Welcome. See some familiar faces. We're up to 180. The party's just getting started. Yes. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I know. I love it. The faction wars are coming. I'm really excited. That's my new favorite format. As a matter of fact, if the faction war becomes so popular and people want to just see that it's kind of fun to have as like a novelty, but I was almost thinking, and again, I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on this if you want to leave a comment in the video after the fact. I'm thinking of doing like an ECL season with the faction war format. So each player would enter a tournament with one faction. It's best of 1 and a best of 3 final. So I would basically start casting the stream when it got to the top 8. So there wouldn't need to be a representative of every faction, but basically it would be open and players could just join with the faction of their choosing. It's best of 1, so it's much quicker. Low commitment compared to like a best of 3 or best of 5 tournament. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So we're loading in here. Obviously players connecting from all around the globe. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. 1 second here. And pulling it up. So how it works for the ECL is there's a prize for all the qualifiers. It's a relatively smaller prize. Granted, for the grand finals, usually there's a prize ranging from $200 to $500 for the prize pool. So it's basically a qualifier system to get into the grand finals. And I generally do put in my own money for the ECL. So yes, to answer your question, anything that's donated my way, generally speaking, does just go straight back into the prize pools to an extent. Yes. But again, for the faction wars, I'm looking to get like sponsors and things like that and, kind of take that approach. But players are loading in here. It's Bretonnia versus Beastmen. So Aerocrastic is going to be on Bretonnia, and my son is going to be on the Beastmen, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully there's no connection issues. We are on a beta client. We had a couple crashes today, but for the most part, I think it was just people's internet connection. I don't think it was actually the beta. So yeah, we'll see when they load in, and we'll be good to go. In the faction war, yeah, if we did have it open, Gok Thim, there could be a mirror match. I do have it extremely good with my smoking hot wife. She's here in chat. That evil hag hanging out. Faction wars are awesome. Yeah, she does all the graphics for those and everything, so it makes them look nice and juicy. We go ahead and go to Discord, make sure that there's no connection issues, and not getting any messages, so players are probably still just loading in. Sometimes, people's potatoes just take a while to get churning, so we can actually take this opportunity to maybe look at the brackets. So I will show you guys the tail of the tape for the day. So let's go here. Let's go to the challenge capture. Should pull up here in just a second. And do we got it? We got it. Perfect. So if we take a look here, of course, we can see on the top side, we have Aerocrastic. And let's look at his run. So we had a 2-1 victory over Zero, a 2-0 over Geese Howard. Zeus actually had to leave the tournament, so they didn't end up playing that series. So he just advanced. And a 2-1 over Random Nicks in the beginning. So certainly some contested games he's had here, but he has made it all the way to the finals. And then my son, Herbert Walker, who of course you guys know is a prolific, just outstanding tournament host. He runs more tournaments than I do and does a really good job. His name here, yes, my son, Herbert Walker. He played King of the Dead, won 2-1, Park Map with the 2-0, and a 2-0 versus Tricera as well. So pretty good run for him. Up on the top side of the bracket, we have Arkin, who won 2-0 against Anticity, 2-1 against Mixa, no, actually here, 2-0 against Noob for Life, and a 2-1 against Zyphos in the beginning. So certainly he's had some tough competition. And currently we're waiting for the top side of the bracket, which is going to be either Shidoku or Ulrich Rahl, aka the Igil Sturmbjorn, which is the Norscan warlord, if I'm not mistaken. So players are loading in. Good. It looks like it's just a bit of a potato as it pertains to the computer for one of these fine gentlemen or something between the three of us, but it looks like the battle is underway. It doesn't appear to be lagging. Characters are all moving fine. So let us go ahead and switch back to the battle now, and we will get this show on the road. So thank you guys again so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. And let's continue the good times. So, of course, my son, a very, very good Beastman player. In most of the tournaments we've had him in, he has played in Everchosen as well and put on a pretty good showcase with the Beastmen, if memory serves. So we'll see what he does with the Beast people. Here in the tree line, it looks like he does have Malagor the Dark Omen. So cool, we're not going to be seeing a Morker pick. Rather, he's probably going to be summoning a second Cygor. Cygor's pretty good at punishing archers and also punishing cav units if they get some good throws. So I like the Malagor pick quite a bit. 2 Gorbles, of course, anti-large, armor-piercing, absolute monsters against the Bretonnian Cav, and very heavily armored as well. So some of the Grail Knights and Knights of the Realm do take some time to bring them down. And of course, Bacon. Bacon's always good. Who doesn't like Bacon? He's got a couple groups of Razorgore herds as well. So in total, I think there's going to be 2 of those guys. Some Minotaurs with great weapons here in the back. Ungor Spears to kind of saturate the chaff. And Chaos Warhounds with poison, or without poison actually, just to chase down the archers and things like that. Really like this army. It's quite good for my son, Herbert Walker. Here in the front line for Aerocrastic, it's going to be a glorious peasant mob front line. So very awesome stuff to see Aero bringing Bretonnian. A Bretonnian army in a competitive finals here of the ECL. He's got Peasant Bowmen, 4 of those, a bunch of the Spearmen at Arms. The Holy Wardens back here, going to be chopping through some Beast Infantry. Knights of the Realm, of course, pretty good against Minotaurs, good against Pigs. Can put up a fight against Gorbles. It's a little bit of a tough one, but nonetheless, they can do well. Oh, hell yeah, double Grail Knights. So Grail Knights, of course, anti-large, charge bonus of 78. Just an absolute beast of a unit. Immunopsychology, they have perfect vigor. These guys just go balls deep for sure. And up in the sky, it's King Lewin, and that is it. So start anytime. Oh, they're way ahead of me. They know the drill. So the battle's underway. Cygor's probably going to be throwing some bows, I would imagine, at the Grail Knights. Thankfully for Aerocrastic, though, he does have a nice little tree line here, so if he wants to, he could probably take his Grail Knights like up and through the forest here and take like a bit of a circuitous route and try and avoid some of the Cygor boulders. I would imagine that Malagor here in a moment is probably going to be summoning another Cygor. I like that he's hiding in the trees here with the Gorbles. It's pretty funny, like as if they could fit behind that tree right there. Nonetheless, boulder coming in, and it does make some impact on the peasants, taking out 4 of those lovely unwashed peasants right there. But they'll be okay. They're just peasants. It's Bretonnia. King Lewin's going to be running forward here, looking for some picks. Certainly has some opportunities to really punish Malagor, but I would imagine the Gorbles are going to be on pretty hardcore guard duty. I would at the very least leave 1 Gorble with Malagor, because Lewin will just tear Malagor apart in combat, like absolute destruction, so he needs to be pretty careful. Boulder throws coming in. I would imagine my son has switched the target onto some of the cav units, so going after Grail Knights. Nice shot right there. Collateral damage, hitting Grail Knights as well as Peasant Archers. A really nice 2-for-1 there for my son Herbert Walker so far. And now the Hounds are falling back to Bretonians, obviously seizing battlefield control. They have more mobile units and can certainly afford to put the pressure on. And it looks like my son Herbert Walker are going to be dropping a second summon right here. So here comes the Cygor emerging from the earth, clutching at life. Going to be dropping some boulders, I would imagine, on the Peasant Archers. And the Peasant Archers unloading on the Ungor Spearman herds. And Aerocrastic falling back with the Peasant Mobs, which is smart. They are shielded Ungors, though, so the Peasant Archer isn't going to be that bad. But basically what Arrow's trying to do is basically force them to overextend, at which point his Cav can come in and just basically annihilate those guys. It looks like my son has reacted. He's going to be pulling back, making sure that doesn't happen. And it's relatively safe in the process, but the boulders are still dropping in and doing some really good damage to the Peasant Archer line. Lewin charging in as well. And it looks like Arrow may be thinking about doing something with the Grail Knights. I think it's maybe a bait and switch, like he's going to pull back. He's trying to lure out the pigs and then countercharge them. Oh, nice play there. He gets the Warp Gaze. So the Warp Gaze is an ability on the Eye of Morsleep, which basically can lock things in place. That was beautiful right there. And then the pigs and the spears countercharge. Really, really nice stuff. Nonetheless, Lewin is here. Grail Knights can still put up a good fight, and they do have some peasant support. You can see the peasant mobs with stand your ground will be able to hold for a little bit longer. And it looks like despite the good pick, I think the Bretonians are still going to come out a little bit ahead there. Lewin coming in and really disrupting that formation, doing some great work. In the meantime, Arrow's formation charging in. You can see the Knights of the Realm charging into spears. These spears are unbraced, unfortunately, so they're going to get punished pretty bad, taking some casualties on the impact. Down to 68 models. Brutal charge coming in from Grail Knights. Like I said, they have an insane charge bonus. I think at this point, maybe getting the eyes to start throwing boulders at the Cav would probably be a little bit better. Maybe just going after the Grail Knights. But nonetheless, Minotaurs with great weapons charge down from the hills, and the Gorbles have been sent from their forest keep to go after King Lewin now, so that's certainly not a bad choice. They're going to be going after Lewin right here. Lewin could certainly take a beating here. He's not careful, but it looks like Lewin, with the Foe Seeker active, is going to be able to fall back through the ranks. Really nice Vile Tide right there, kind of clearing up the peasant chaff, but nonetheless, the peasants, that's what they're there for. They're there to basically take a beating. Aerocrastic with a nice charge right here, able to rotate the Grail Knights away and get a counter charge into the Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn are like the ideal target here. Looking for something, darling?
Yeah, car keys.
Car keys, I think they're in the living room. Maybe they're here. Oh.
I'm also looking for
Okay. All right, guys, back in business here. So the Eye of Morsleep throwing some boulders right downtown into the Peasant Bowman. And yeah, the Peasant Bowman really putting a ton of firepower here into the Gorble. Sorry about that, guys. I had to find the car keys for the lovely Lady Turin who's going to pick up lunch. But the Gorbel is able to force these guys back. It's looking like it's Bretonnian favored right now, though. It feels like a lot of the Beastmen forces in the front have just been crumped and countercharged here by the Grail Knights. The Grail Knights coming in with the Holy Wardens should be able to really just wreck these spawn. You can see these elite knights just pouring in and lancing down the foul abominations of chaos, which is always a pleasant thing to see for sure. Now, the Beastmen still do have the Eye of Mortis sleeve. They have Gorbels, and if they can get some good engagement with the Gorbels, perhaps so, but it looks like this one Gorbel is just absolute in Pound Town. King Loon's going to be taking him out. Grail Knights have a full surround here, and I don't see this being a great engagement here for the Gorbel, who is basically just in dire straits. Malagor can summon Cygors and do some decent AoE, but he's not going to be a character that can like really carry the game at the late game. But here's a nice summon here. So my son Herbert Walker does actually summon a second Cygor. He summons it right in the melee engagement. Basically, it's just kind of a ghetto giant. So yeah, it's pretty powerful in melee. Might be able to salvage this Gorbel situation. And the bounce power is close enough that it's not the point of no return for the Beastmen. In the meantime, here in the back, some nice picks as well. My son Herbert Walker getting some Warhounds and picking off the archers. And the Bretonnian archers, for the most part, are shut down, and really good back and forth harass here with the Hounds. Viletide going down as well, punishing those archers. And the archer line is shut down, but I think the Grail Knights are going to be able to carry this game. The Grail Knights plus Lewin is just a lot of meat to get through. Plus, the Beastmen army, as you guys see it now, is basically falsely inflated due to the Cygor. So the Cygor summon, of course, will be disappearing here in a moment. Lewin's going to be able to come in and basically just give the business here to the Eye of Mortis sleeve. A nice spray scream right there, right into the back of the Grail Knights, doing some damage, but Aerocrastic does respond with the Scroll of Shielding to give them some ward save. But yeah, the Gorbels are going down, the Cygors are going to be going down. I just don't think there's enough meat left in this army, and it looks like the brave Bretonnians are able to cleave the Beastmen from the battlefield using some glorious Grail Knight play and countercharges. And that is going to be game one here in this best of three to Aerocrastic and the Bretonnians. So I'm sure Bretonnian victories are always welcomed in tournaments. Very well played to both players. I thought they had good builds. I just think the cab play from Aerocrastic was enough to really kind of he got the better engagements. He picked off the spawn. He countercharged the pigs when they didn't have spear support. And I definitely think the Cygor Boulder should have been a little bit more focused on the Grail Knights rather than the Peasant Archers. But nonetheless, well played to both players. Let us go ahead and update the scoreboard here. That is going to be game one for Aero in the semifinals of today's qualifier. There he goes. And now we'll jump back into the lobby, pick the next map, and we'll get these guys on their way. So for the next one, let's go ahead and do the Golden Monolith. Well played. And the players, Monolith next. Hopefully there's no lag. It looks like we're okay. And yeah, they can start picking. Perfect. We are all good. And now we will check in on the top side of the bracket to see if it's going there. It looks like the battle between Shidoku and Ulrich Rahl is still underway. Champion of Clan ODM facing off against the champion of the Dark Gods in Norska. See how that one goes. The winner, of course, will be facing Arkin. And we will see how that goes. So back to chat here. Hope you guys are doing well. Lewin got in there pretty good. He did. The Trebuchets can do some work. They can. And we also had a donation there. 20 NOK coming in from Eric. Thank you so much, Eric. I once pretended to be an Uruk-hai to impress a girl. Like, in what respect? I'm quite curious about this story. You pretended to be an Uruk-hai. Did you just dress up in kind of ebon plate and have a top knot and constantly say man flesh? I'm curious about this story, but thank you so much for the donation, man. The qualifiers here are completely open. The brackets are run through a website called Challenge, which is very, very efficient. And yeah, so anyone can play. Yes. Lady Turn in chat saying, I wish we could host those streams as IRL parties. And now I'm going to go get Thai food. Yeah. So for the next match, it looks like it's going to be Aerocrastic is doing Dark Elves, and he's banning Vampires and Greenskins. And my son Herbert Walker are going to be coming in with the Sons of Sigmar. All right, so we had a Bretonnian matchup, and now we have an Empire matchup. Always fun. Always a good time indeed. So we'll see how this battle goes. Of course, we're just getting started. We're only 20 minutes in. Already getting into this best of three. Of course, we will be closing... Touch my... Oh my god, man flesh. Was meat back on the menu? Yes, of course, all the glorious references. Uruk-hai was at the skating... Okay, here's the story, guys. He says, Uruk-hai was at the ice skating place around 15 years ago. I ran and charged it as an Uruk-hai to impress a girl with a mighty roar. 10 out of 10 did work. What line did you say, though? That's what everybody's waiting for here. What was the line that you dropped? There had to be something. Good story so far, though. Ice skating Uruk-hai. Quite an image. My son, Herbert Walker, probably going to be going for some glorious Empire Cav play, I would imagine. It's always a fun battle. There's a couple ways you can play this one for sure. I'm curious how Aero's going to play it. Of course, both these players are very heavily involved in multiplayer. Aerocrastic hosts tournaments, a very active tournament player. Well, historically, he played in a lot of tournaments. He still plays, but of course not as much as he used to, but a top-tier tournament player. And my son, Herbert Walker, is as well, and he's also one of the most active hosts in all the Total War Warhammer community. So if you guys are looking to play more tournaments outside of my community, please make sure to check him out. There's actually a link in my Discord, in the tournament Discord, that has links to his Discord and everything. So I believe he's hosting a 2v2 tournament today and also another one. So he's hosting a tournament at the same time he's playing in one. That's pretty heavy metal, to say the least. So he is ready, setting the initiative here, letting Aerocrastic know he is ready for battle. Top side of the bracket is still underway here. We haven't seen who's going to be playing in the next one. We'll see how that goes. And we also have a donation coming in from SSIO. He says, great content as always. Love the new Faction Wars format. Heard that CA is looking for a new multiplayer balancing and quality assurance guy. Would probably be a perfect fit for you. You know, if they were in California, I would consider it. Because I'd probably still be able to do my YouTube. I just wouldn't get early access anymore. And that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would love to do that job if it was in California. I would love to be more in charge of the folks who have to do like the actual hands-on work. Because you know, a lot of QA jobs are very like grindy and just playing for hours and stuff like that. Also, we have a donation coming in from Sir Unkley Dunk, $10. I'm thinking of starting multiplayer with High Elves. You got any tips? So for High Elves, let's see. High Elves are one of my weaker factions, to say the least. But there's a couple of really powerful units. If you want to just have like, go into multiplayer and have a good time with High Elves, bring Alariel, typically, and bring like a dragon or like a Flamespire Phoenix. If you bring her with like really powerful single entity monsters, like the Flamespire Phoenixes are really good with like perhaps a dragon depending on the matchup, or dragon princes, like, and you're able to get a Star of Avalorn healing your single entity as well as like your dragon princes or other very valuable elite units, you'll usually be in relatively good shape. So that's a good place to start. Like, and again, as you get like more used to them, you can start using techless and like sniping builds with nets of Ammonchok. But for the most part, start with Alariel. She's a really good like beginner lord because she's very forgiving. She has really good healing. So even if you screw up with like an engagement, you can still salvage them with good healing. But that would be my 2 cents. Start with her. Start with some Dragon Prince play. And, you know, sometimes like double monster, double Phoenix can be pretty good. Just go for it. You know, goon things, use your healing if you get caught, and enjoy yourself. High Elves are a high skill cap faction. They're certainly tough to play. Kind of a mid-tier faction. I wouldn't say they're like top tier, but they can contend with anyone. High Elves do have some bad matchups, but for the most part, they're kind of like a jack of all trades faction. They can compete with everyone, in my opinion. So we are on the Golden Monolith. Players are loading in, and we'll hang out. Yes, hopefully that helps. Have you ever thought about team faction PvP? 2 people, same faction with the same faction? Yeah, you know, that could be fun, funky Koval. I thought about doing that. 2v2 tournaments are mildly popular, but I feel like I'm going to be putting more of a focus on my ECLs as well as the faction wars. So the faction wars it's probably my favorite format so far that we've done. I really enjoy it. I think it's really cool to have like a champion of a faction, just like, you know, fighting a long battle, or a long day of battles, I should say. Yeah. Hey, Exo, everything's going well? You only missed 1 game so far. It was Bretonnia versus Beastmen. We had Aerocrastic on the Bretonians and my son Herbert Walker on the Beastmen. If you want to go back and watch it, you can. I should have Rewind enabled on my stream, so you can like go back and check it out. And there's a little bit of downtime in between games, so it was a really good game. Granted, a bit of a spoiler on the top of the stream, but you know, it is what it is. You can't have everything. You just gulped a potion of strength. Yes. I did. I actually have some tea here. It's pretty good. It's like a lavender tea. I actually like this map too. Golden Monolith. It's you don't see it in too many tournaments, but I feel like it has a good aesthetic. And it's relatively even in deployment. Like there's a bit of a depression right here in the terrain. There's one right here as well, and they kind of can fight on either side of the monolith. There's some hills, some forests on the edge for Vanguard options. I think it's actually a pretty cool map. So we'll see how this goes. Mr. Iron Gut, so you asked about the World Cup. So the World Cup, I was planning on hosting it at the beginning of the year, but basically I need to rethink the format before I go through with it, because the problem is there was so much interest in the World Cup from people all over different nations that, you know, what's going to end up happening is if I have elimination format, it's going to be hard to say like, okay, if I have 15 people on Team Russia and 15 people on Team USA and only 3 people can play on stream, like how am I going to make sure all the players get to play while also making sure the teams can perform at their best with their best players? Because that's what a lot of nations obviously wanted, to put their best players forward, but then there's people who may be newer or up and coming. Obviously, it was a bit of a tricky dynamic. So basically, I'm putting the World Cup on hold until I can think of something a little bit better. What I think I may do is actually just have a qualifier for the World Cup. So basically, there would be a tournament which would only be played with, let's say, Polish players, for example, and the top 3 would be the top first, second, and third in that tournament would be Team Poland. I think that's how I'm going to end up doing it, but again, that requires preparation, and maybe even I'll replace an ECL season. It'll be ECL World Cup, ECL Season 7 World Cup Edition, right? where we have a qualifier for all the different nations. I think that could be a little bit better. So, but again, the format wasn't ironed out, so I delayed it. And of course, the faction wars are taking precedent because it's really fun. So, yeah, it's certainly going to be happening. I will be doing the World Cup eventually. Yes, Optimus Pine, glad to hear. I'm very excited for Ogres in Game 3. I think they'll be pretty ridiculous. So hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Iron Gut. I'm sure Ogres will be in Game 3. They must be, eventually. So if you draw names from a hat for each country, the issue is, like, it's kind of like, I want everyone to be able to have a chance. And if we have a qualifier, so we have a Polish qualifier, it's the same format, or Russian or American, or French or English, whatever country. Now, there are some countries that only had 3 players, which then that gets rid of the issue. But for the bigger countries, I'm just going to have an open tournament. And the top 3 players who get first, second, and third are basically going to get a spot as their World Cup representative. So now everyone has a chance to qualify. It's fair. I think that's what we'll do. And I might even do it for the next ECL season. So yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. That'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we'll have a World Cup finale, which I think would be pretty epic. The 2020 World Cup. Yes, indeed. Why not draw names from a hat? Yes, hopefully that answers your question. Mr. Iron Ghetto would assume plays Ogres. And now, guys, we're into the next match. Looks like they're all loaded in. My son, Herbert Walker, coming in with the dreaded triple mortar wagon. What is going on? Just stepping it up. I think if he wins with this, he deserves a medal. So he's got 3 mortar wagons, which mortars aren't terrible against elves. Obviously, they can do some work against some of the lightly armored infantry. But Arrow did not go with a missile build. So I'm not so sure how the mortar wagons are going to stop a rush like this with Scourge Runners. That's going to be painful. On top of that, he's got swordsmen. He's got some cav units in the form of Empire Knights. And of course, up in the sky, we have Karl Franz with Jade Wizard. Now for Arrow, a more traditional competitive army. He's got spears in the front, halberds in the back, Sisters of Singing Doom here, Scourge Runner Chariots as an answer against Empire Heavy Cav. A couple groups of Cold Moon Knights, Malekith up in the sky, and Slaanesha's Harvesters. This is like a very, very traditional competitive build. My son Herbert Walker saying, good luck, have fun with the smiley face. You always know some treachery is coming. So the mortar wagons, I would imagine, are going to be shooting at the Black Guard here. That's pretty much their only good target. I mean, aside from the spears are okay, but Scourge Runners, unfortunately, can counter them pretty well. They have good range and can just deal with wagons. Wagons are basically Walmart Scourge Runners. They're just like the Haggard versions. But I mean, if the battle kind of devolves into a bit of a kite fest, maybe? I don't know. Like, the wagons can kite a little bit, but Arrow has so much pursuit in the form of, like, Cold Moon Knights, Slaanesha's Harvesters, Scourge Runners. So it looks like Karl Franz does go in for a bit of an attack right there. Gets a nice blow right there on the Scourge Runner Chariot, and he is going to be forced back, but this is a very ballsy play here by my son Herbert Walker. But nonetheless, I mean, even if he does drop this game, he's going to be winning the hearts of the people with the mortar wagon. So basically, at this point, Karl Franz is going to be jumping in, going after another chariot, trying to pick off a model, but it looks like the chariots are able to get away. Mortar wagons are still intact, but the problem, I think, regular wagons might have actually been better here because they could actually at least shoot and kite. But yeah, Dark Elves definitely have a lot of mobile pressure. So Karl Franz pulling back up into the sky. Let's see what he has in terms of buffs. He does have Galmaraz and Reikland Runefang, so he might actually end up taking a battle here against Malekith. We'll see. In the meantime, Empire Knight's going to be taking a charge here. I definitely think they might just want to fall back and take the engagement here in the low ground. Karl Franz going to be charging in. Empire Knights charge into the Slaanesha's Harvesters, which will be okay for the Empire Knights. Word of Pain is really going to neuter their stats, but they're very armored, so they should at the very least last. Scourge Runner Chariots piling through right here. Karl Franz charging... Karl Franz charging in, trying to disrupt the chariots, but man, with 3 mortar wagons, it's going to be so hard to win. I mean, that's expensive. Those things cost a lot. Like, that's putting a huge dent in your army, and if they're not shooting, if they're just like, I don't even know what they're doing right now, but... yeah, they're not shooting. It's going to be bad. So the spears of my son Herbert Walker do surge forward. They do intercept the Cold Moon Knights, so nice play there. And at the very least, he's like keeping these wagons relatively safe. Empire Knights on the far side are losing the battle, but doing a good job. Despite the fact that they're debuffed, they still took about half health off the Harvesters there, which is a good accomplishment. And Franz gets in there and actually takes out a Scourge Runner Chariot, and the other one's very low. So really nice play by my son Herbert Walker there with Franz. And Malekith is going to be on the hunch. Now, Balance Fire is pretty even. Looks like the mortars are actually shooting into the Dread Spears here. But, I mean, if you can keep, like, running the wagons in a circle around these spears and then securing this position with Franz, I mean, maybe there's a glimmer of hope for the dreaded triple wagons. I mean, the Balance Fire is actually pretty decent here for the Empire. As a matter of fact, he's ever so slightly ahead. And, man, these Empire Knights holding to the bitter end. Very solid stuff from those guys. Now, up here on the high ground, Sisters of Singing Doom got absolutely crumped. The mortars appear to shoot in there and do some work, but yeah, my son needs to get the mortar wagons away. So right now he pulls back. Some of them do get caught by the Cold Moon Knights, but the Knights of the Blazing Sun get a nice counter charge, and also some spears should be able to pull down here and screen those guys out here in a moment. And it looks like Franz might be coming in for a counter charge as well, and this could be pretty big. Here comes Franz attacking the Cold Moon Knights. Spears coming in as well, and my son is able to get the mortar wagons away once again. So is he going to shoot? Where is he going to shoot? Probably after the Cold Moon Knights, I would imagine. you know, at the very least, these mortar wagons are a bit of a distraction card effects. So here comes the mortars shooting. It looks like a couple of them do unleash a salvo of fire. And Karl Franz is able to get some good punch here on the Scourge Runners, but the wagons need to probably pull down this way again and just keep kind of doing the rope and dope and running through these spearmen. I think that's probably their best choice. Up on the high ground, the Empire Cav, Empire Knights, and Spearmen are able to win their fights, and I mean, the Empire is honestly winning a lot of the main engagements. Here you can see Slaanesha's Harvesters are beat up, and the Mortars are still shooting into the Black Guard here, so it looks like an Earthblood going down, and the Jade Wizard is hiding in the trees for my son Herbert Walker. Nice breath attack there from Aerocrastic and Malekith. And the mortar wagons are, yeah, just kind of scooting and shooting, which is pretty hilarious. Here, oh my god, guys, is the Empire going to do this with the triple mortar wagon? Absolute insanity. So the Scourge Runner chariots here are taken out by Karl Franz. And now we do, of course, have the war wagons, which, I mean, they have some okay targets. They can shoot the infantry over here. Point blank shots going right into the blob, going to be hitting the Black Guard, I would imagine. Balance of power is going back towards the middle because, again, the Dark Elves do have a lot of cav left. They have these Cold Knights, these different troops like that, and I definitely think that the Spearmen are going to have to screen out for the wagons. Here we do have Franz, of course, looking for some good engagements. Probably going to be trying to pick off these Scourge Runners or help out against the Cold Knights as the wagons continue to fall back here. But yeah, the Scourge Runner coming back in is pretty unfortunate. That thing still has a Power of Darkness used. It might actually kill one of the models here. Does do damage to itself. Franz lands right here. Starts to attack the Slaanesha's Harvesters, and the Empire Spearmen are going to be sallying forth. Now the Mortar Wagons are shooting once again, but here's a nice pick for Arrow. Arrow, of course, can go after the Jade Wizard. And the Jade Wizard is a very vulnerable target. Franz might want to get over there and try and help. Nice Gaze of Malice attempt. And success going down here on the Spearmen with shields. And yeah, that Jade Wizard's in some trouble. Franz might be able to come in, but I guess he could use his time to just try and pick off the Cold Knights, get his mortars shooting. And the mortars are tearing into the Black Guard here, so they're probably not long for this world. Down to 864. Franz is now in mortal combat fighting against Malekith. And he does have Golem Rozpop, so he should be able to win that duel in terms of just damage output, especially with a little bit of spear support. And the Jade Wizard did get beaten out, but he's still online. So if we look around the battlefield, there are some Empire troops scrapping down here. 10 Flagellants and some Spearmen should be able to win the fight here against these Dread Spears. And the mortars are still going. Also, guys, remember, the mortars can be used as wagons in the late game, or chariots, I meant to say. Karl Franz swooping up in the sky. The Jade Wizard unfortunately takes a huge beating. Franz probably going to be jumping in to take this engagement here. Golem Roz still active, and if he could save the Jade Wizard, that'd be pretty nice. Getting a good punch right there into the back of Malekith. Mortar wagons still shooting in. Black Guard very, very low, down to 400 HP, and the mortar wagons, you know, are going to be they're going to be something he has to deal with here. Can't believe I'm saying that. I feel like that just is unheard of. Karl Franz needs to finish off the Scourge Runners. Well, probably more so the Cold Knights. Those guys are probably more of a threat. And basically just keep running the wagons in circles while Karl Franz just goes ham on things. However, this is a bit of a dicey situation. There's no spear support now, so Franz, of course, is going to be stuck in a fight versus Malekith, who does also have the support of Cold Knights. But if some of the mortars can obviously shoot in here and do some damage against the Cav and free up Franz, that could be quite nice. And the Jade Wizard actually came back, which is huge. If he wasn't here, I think that the Dark Elves might start to just immediately take over the game, but getting that Earthblood off really saved Franz quite a bit of pain right there. Over here on the low ground, Flagellant's still fighting against Dread Spears. Mortar wagons are pulling back. Franz fighting, and he does have his men coming back, so the Spearmen are coming back in, but it might be a little too late. I think Franz is taking too much damage here, and I think the Empire is going to start slipping out of this game here. Because again, if someone is eventually going to have to deal with Malekith, and if Franz isn't healthy enough, the Mortar Wagon dropping some fire here. Nice Gaze of Malice. Man, those have just been super on point here from Aerocrastic. If Franz can get away, stabilize, get some healing in the late game, maybe a regrowth if he has it, I think the Empire might still have a chance. But aside from that, it looks like the Dark Elves are coming back in this game. So Franz gets back up in the sky. Some of the wagons are... Oh, guys, the duel of duels. The Mortar Wagons versus Scourge Runners in melee combat. The finest Imperial engineering facing off against the Dark Elf, OP Dark Elf units here, the Scourge Runners. But nonetheless, it looks like some of the wagons are in some trouble fighting in melee combat now. Franz lands over here and just absolutely steel chairs that Scourge Runner. And this Jade Wizard, I mean, he's hidden right now, so I don't think Arrow knows he's there. It's still a game that's winnable for the Empire. If Franz can get his cooldowns, maybe stabilize and get the Mortar Wagons shooting into the Cold Knights, man, that's something you don't hear often. Looks like he probably has them in guard mode, I would imagine. Yeah, just gonna peel off these Spearmen here. But now Franz is coming. He has to watch out for the Sisters of Singing Doom as well. If they're able to get a rampage on Franz, that could be quite dicey. But the Wagons are gonna be pulling back. Jade Wizard probably just saving up Winds of Magic for a final battle, I would guess. I mean, maybe Franz just wants to wait for Golem Roz and see if the RNG can favor him in terms of dueling Malekith up in the sky. Over here we still have a fight. Looks like some Spearmen and Flagellants are just chasing down these Spearmen right here. And the Jade Wizard and Empire Spearmen are actually pushing these Sisters of Singing Doom. This is a smart play, running Karl Franz away from the wagons. And the wagons are now scooting and shooting. So it looks like they're going to go in guard mode and get a couple shots off. So they rip a couple shots, and Malekith is going after the wagons while Franz goes after the Cold Knights. He might be able to rout these guys off. They're not immune to psychology, so a terror out here could be quite nice. Oh man, this rampage could just end the game though. If he gets rampaged here, that would probably be game over. All right. So he stabilizes. Balance of power still in the favor here of the Dark Elves. Of course, Malekith is very healthy. Winds of Magic situation. We're not sure on the Jade Wizard, but it looks like he's running out. So it looks like Franz is coming over for a heal. It'll probably just be an Earthblood based on the Winds of Magic, I would guess. But it's looking a little bit grim. Dark Elves are starting to catch the wagons. Coldwind Knights, of course, doing their thing. And over here we do have, the Jade Wizard, who I would imagine is going to be dropping a heal on Franz. Franz could still put the game on his back if he gets a regrowth, maybe. If it's not a regrowth, though, I don't think he's going to have enough. If it's just an Earthblood, you can see this wagon here is going to escape. The other wagons, though, are pretty much taken out. I think there's only one mortar wagon left. Franz is going to be going for a duel in the sky, which is smart. Just try and get lucky and kill Malekith, basically. Because if Malekith loses based on the RNG of the melee defense and everything like that would be the one opportunity for the Empire. Nice charge there. I mean, Franz gets a huge blow. Now, mortar wagon's coming back. If Malekith were to fall, that would certainly affect the balance of power. Now, if you look around, there are some Empire Spearmen coming back in. Looks like these Coldwind Knights might rampage into them. Who knows? Malekith's getting hunted pretty hard by Franz. Franz has Foe Seeker and all of his buffs popped, and Reikland Runefang. And Malekith's actually taking a bit of a beating here, guys. Karl Franz is on the hunt. And Malekith's a little bit slower because of Foe Seeker. Another attack right there. Malekith's getting worked on, guys. Balance of power is coming back towards the middle. Absolute insanity. And here you can see the Jade Wizard's basically running for the hills. If the Mortar Wagon comes back online too and shoots into these very beat up troops, I mean, a single mortar attack could do it. Here we do have the Jade Wizard. He might as well fight the Coldwind Knights. Empire Spearmen, are there any left? There are some Spearmen over there. Franz is now probably not going to be able to catch Malekith. Yeah, it looks like Malekith's going to be able to keep running. Malekith, I mean, they're the same speed, 90 and 90, so with a little bit of acceleration, Franz will get in there and get some nice attacks here and there. And it looks like my son Herbert Walker does lose the Jade Wizard, but at this point, just go balls deep, yeah. I would just attack. Malekith is able to get away, so now, unfortunately, the Coldwind Knights are going to collapse inward. Oh, and the Mortar Wagon's back! The mortar shot shooting on top of Franz could be pretty helpful. I mean, if my son gets really lucky here with the RNG of his melee attack versus melee defense rolls, he could pull it out, but I think with all the anti-large here and the Black Guard coming in, oh, and Malekith with the execution breath, and Franz is going to be falling. And I have to say, I think my son Herbert Walker deserves something for that. And if you guys like that performance, make sure to head on over to his Twitch channel and his YouTube channel and follow that madman, because he almost just beat a top tier player using a competitive build using a dreaded triple mortar wagon. Like, that was a great game. So some of the mods, if you guys could drop links to my son Herbert Walker's content to both of his Twitch channel as well as his YouTube channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Absolute ace of a performance. That was awesome by both players. I mean, that was just so good. So Aerocrastic is going to be our champ there for the bottom side of the bracket. For the top side, we're still waiting on the best of three. So Arkin the Black and is going to be facing off against either Shidoku or the Norskin champion. So we'll see if that works out. Ulrich Rahl. So very well played him indeed. And we will jump out here real quick. Well played indeed. Alrighty. That was an amazing game. So let's go ahead and read chat here. I'm going to jump out here real quick. There's a chance we might be able to cast the other game here, game 3 between these two gentlemen. So let me pull it up here. I'll tell them to open up a spectator slot because, might as well. So open. All right, one sec, guys. Cool. That was a crazy game, wasn't it? My son may have lost the match, but he won our hearts. I can't believe that game was that close. That was insane. That was really insane. The triple wagon. And it almost worked. It almost worked. I don't know. Maybe we're missing something here. That was pretty sweet, wasn't it? Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Just got to get the password from these guys. So now we'll jump over to the next match, which is going to be, I would imagine, Shidoku is hosting. So this is determining who's going to be facing off against Arkin the Black here. So we're kind of rewinding a little bit. The series is currently 1-1, but we might as well watch the game rather than sitting and waiting like 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and change the scorecards here to reflect the current status of this game. Shidoku facing off. So basically we'll just leave the score as it is and just, whoever wins will advance, obviously. Ulrich. Oh, cool. And, yeah, right on. Start when ready. He says it's 1-1. No problem. So of course we had some slight delays in the tournament today because you know, there's a beta patch that basically is fixing a game-breaking bug. So some of the players had to switch. So it's a little bit delayed, but honestly we're still making pretty good time. It's not even 1 o'clock here yet, so quite happy about that. So this is the quarterfinal here. Yes, we're going back a little bit. So let's go ahead and show you guys the bracket. So let's go to the challenge page. So if we go here, you guys can see that this is the top side. So this is Shidoku facing off against Ulrich Rahl. And the winner of this faces Arkin the Black. So currently Aerocrastic will report his score here. So he is going to go to the finals. And he's going to be awaiting the winner of Arkin the Black and this game here, of course. So we'll see how that goes. And the players, it looks like it's going to be Lizards versus Vampire Counts. It's a matchup that I think is... Oh, okay, I better get an army blocker because I am not hosting, so it's a little bit different here. So, oh, actually, I'm not even on the screen, so we can just hang here until then. As far as the bracket goes, let's go ahead and update that. So it's going to be Aerocrastic advancing on to face the winner again of that top side of the bracket. And yeah, it's been a good day so far. So let's see if the players are ready. Looks like Shidoku's army is ready. I'm just going to wait to switch back until the game actually starts, just to make sure that the army doesn't get spoiled on stream. It's going to be exciting. You guys are going to like the way it looks. Shidoku has a very solid force. I cannot see the vampire count force. Let's see if I can click over there and see that. No, I cannot. So now if you guys have any questions, now is the time. Very well played to my son and the great Aerocrastic, ever-chosen champ, man of the people. And yes, do make sure to check out my son's content. He is an absolute beast of a host. He does great work and a great player. Yeah, they fixed the ranking up stats bug. So currently there's a beta in place that anyone can download, and the beta fixes it. And I would imagine in the next couple weeks it's going to go live because it's a very small patch. So... yeah, and there he is. So Herbert Walker League, HW League is here in chat, and you guys can see that is my son Herbert Walker. That is his YouTube channel. So check him out, please. And of course, for anyone watching after the fact, there will be a link to his channel in the comment section of this ECL qualifier. As for Aerocrastic and anyone else who has content they'd like to promote, we're always happy to do it. So let's go ahead and see where the players are at. It looks like the Norskin man playing the Vampire Counts. This is a matchup that I think it's a little bit Lizard favored. Like a little. I mean, yeah. It can be tough for Vampires. Because Vampires like to goon things, and it's very hard to goon Lizard characters. Like, the Slans are pretty thick, especially with Lore of Life, and like Aura, Pretzel, Shield of the Old Ones. Their monsters are really tough as well. So it's one that I think is a little bit tough for the... I mean, you have to basically... I mean, there's a couple ways. You can use Vargulfs, you can use Gooses. You can even use White Kings on foot. Sometimes those guys can actually do surprising damage. It really depends on the circumstances and your playstyle and whatnot. But yeah, there's a couple ways. Summon good old Krell to get in there and start chopping things down. Scourge Runners are nerfed. They got nerfed in this patch. So basically, what you guys are seeing today is with the nerfed Scourge Runners. They lost some HP. I can't remember the other nerfs, but I think they got an HP nerf was one of the bigger ones. There's not too many hounds released. There's not too many hounds released hounds. There's not too many issues. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's hard to balance a game that has 16 playable factions. If you want, we can advance Ulrich. So Shidoku's saying he doesn't know if he'll be able to play after this game, so we could always just advance Ulrich. He says he's got something coming up in his real life, which is fine. It's totally normal. Happens to the best of us. So Ulrich advanced then, or... All right, so... Well, that worked out. Worked out just fine. We're going to play the game anyways. He may have to go afterwards, but regardless, we'll advance our boy Ulrich. Sounds like. But they're going to play. Should be fun.
Okay,
Hey, darling.
do you want to nibble on your food?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Dobrze. Dziękuję.
Any water?
Yeah. All right, guys. Castle Drakenhof cometh. The players are going to play. Shidoku says he may have to go, so we'll find out after the fact. But nonetheless, we'll get a good battle. I mean, come on, more replays. Who doesn't want that? And Arkin the Black awaits atop his throne of skulls for the champion of this game. So let's go ahead and switch to the battle now. The Thai food is here, I know. I'm so hungry too. Although I had a breakfast, so I'm good. All right, guys. So we had a donation coming in From Soldier, for the fiber, he says, for the Lannister hand fund. Dude, give me that golden hand, man. If I could actually just club the mouse with it, there would be no complaints. So they're currently 1-1 in the series, as it stands. So the battle's loading in now. And we'll do it to it. My wife is Polish. Yes. I've learned a couple words and phrases and things like that. I can't really carry sentences and whatnot, but I know how to say hello and ask for my favorite foods when I'm in Poland. Oh my god, the kielbasa. I do miss kielbasa, but out here we have some pretty good Italian delis and markets and things like that. So I can usually get some good salami and crackers, which is one of my favorite snacks. So, you know, it's kind of similar. Salami's delicious. Just mix it with some crackers and cheese. Oh god, it's so good. It's so dubja. I can't believe those war wagons were like so functional. It was pretty insane. That was absolute lunacy. So we're loading in here, guys. The players connecting. I believe one of them is from France and one's from Russia. So the connection, I don't know how much that would be, how much of an issue. Usually some of the biggest connection issues are when we have to connect, unfortunately. It's too bad because it's like when we have to connect a lot of times with folks in like China. And there's like a great community of players in China with like a great scene as well. But it's just the time zones in conjunction with the connection issues can make it really, really tough. But yeah, there's definitely a really good multiplayer scene there. Never liked Scourge Hunters and absolutely love the Medusa. Medusa's got buffed a little bit, I think. Yeah. What's going on, Peter? Peter? I think is how you would say that. Poland is basically Kislev, yeah. Basically the Hussars, right? You know, the bear calf. Yeah, it's so cool. I hope we get Kislev in Game 3. That would just be epic. That would be so nice. They would probably have you know, the Katarina, the ice wizard, the ice queen, and then I don't know who they would have. They'd probably have like a combat lord, like some sort of a Kislev boyar or something like that. I don't know the lore too well. Anna knows a little bit. She did a little bit of research on it, which is cool. But the bear cav, they'd have their own type of like halberd infantry and stuff like that. Yeah, Kislev is basically an amalgamation of like Slavic influence, from my basic understanding. We have some like there's like a Polish restaurant nearby, yeah, but we haven't been to it. It's not as common. Like if you go East Coast, like Chicago and New York City, you can actually see a lot of like there's a lot more of a Polish population and things like that. So you can get more of that kind of stuff out there. My dad lives in New York actually. Anyways, guys, here we are in Game 3 between Shidoku. We did, of course, not cast the first games because this is the quarterfinals. We normally don't cast these, but in this case, we had some downtime, so let's go ahead and do it to it. So for the Lizard Army, it's going to be the Dreaded Dreadsaurian. So he has a high mage. So the mage just basically spams Apotheosis on the Dreadsaurian and uses Tempest to shut down the Terrorgeist, which is great. Very, very solid pick here from Shidoku. Front line's going to be some Skinks. It looks like Saurus with Spears, the cohort of Sotek, a couple Chameleons, and Temple Guard in the back. So Temple Guard, obviously quite solid. They're a good choice here. Now for the forces of Ulrich Rahl, let's take a look. Oh, Crypt Horrors. I'm very excited for this. So he's got Crypt Horrors, Skeleton, Zombie Chaff. Very, very classic. There's a couple ways to play Undead. You can play with kind of an infantry Death Star and just move forward with a lot of like foot characters. But in this case, Ulrich has decided to go with what appears to be more traditional. He does have the Goon Squad. He has a Blood Dragon Vampire Lord with the Helm of Discord, a Goose up in the sky, but he doesn't have the dreaded Double Goose. And he does also have the Banshees. So the Banshees are kind of a cool pick. These guys... doesn't look like there's too much damage on that roster, and they have good AP, they're tough to kill, and they cause terror. So I really like the double Banshee here. I think it gives him very good steady damage. Very solid pick here by Ulrich. A couple Graveguard in the back to give some sustainability. So actually a little bit more elite as it pertains to infantry. He brought 3 groups of Graveguard or 2, so not bad. And that's pretty much it. So certainly going to be fun. Cryptors also give you some good AP mass. And the Mortis Engine, if it can survive the Dreadsaurian, will basically just slay the entire infantry core of that army. So I like the armies for both players. The Dreadsaurian is certainly a tough beast to take down. This bad boy's rocking a lot of HP, a lot of damage, 750 weapon strength. So if a Goose gets caught like in a bad situation, the Dreadsaurian can really do a ton of damage for sure. Temple Guard will also be tough to crack, but Banshees again bring AP in the Mortis Engine. So basically Ulrich just needs to keep the Mortis Engine alive, avoid the Dreadsaurian, and let the Mortis Engine in conjunction with the Chaff and tanky Graveguard drain everything down. So for anyone who's newer to the game, the Mortis Engine is a vampire monster, or monsters unit essentially, or it's some sort of a contraption. But it has okay combat stats, but its main thing is it basically just drains the health of all nearby units while it's in combat. So it has to be fighting nearby. It does also improve your power recharge rate and heals nearby units. So it's a really, really powerful piece. Mortis Engines were pretty much a staple of competitive vampire play for ages and still are to an extent. Not as much. They've had some nerfs. Mortis Engines actually, like a year or two ago, like way back when, they used to actually just drain nonstop. So even if they weren't in combat, you could just like Benny Hill and ride circles around people and drain them to death, which led to a lot of abusive stuff, like people just draw kiting in circles with the Mortis Engine. But the nerfs have been good, and they're in a good place, I think. It's not the Claw of Nagash, so it's not the ROR, so there's no slow on this bad boy, but we'll see how it goes. Very excited for this game. It's a fun matchup. The children of the old ones facing off against Vampire Counts. A lot of people in my chat and other tournaments I've been watching have been kind of, given some grief to the Vampire Count, saying that they can't compete anymore. So I'm always happy to see them in top tier, with top tier players and tournaments and things like that functioning well. They were very oppressive for a long time and very hated in the competitive scene for like their playstyle, but I think they've gotten better. I don't know, just my 2 cents. So the Undead advance forward very cautiously. The Gooses want to be careful to split up because right now they're going to get caught in a Tempest. And Ulrich, oh look at that! That was a nice juke right there. Ulrich straight up did like a Matrix. He like flew down and dodged it to make sure that the other Terror guys didn't get caught. And he pretty much dodged the entire Tempest. He is slowed for a couple more seconds, but for the most part, he might take 1 or 2 Dread Saurian attacks. But if Ulrich is able to kind of drop some zombie summons here and then pull back through here, he should be okay. Granted, this could be pretty catastrophic if he doesn't get away. Dread Saurian hits really hard. So here comes the summon. Going to be tar pitting these forces. That's a pretty rough initial situation, taking that much damage on your powerful lord. He just drops a single target invo, which should be able to heal him up. But again, getting anything close to your healing cap is always a good thing. So Ulrich falling back with the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Really good poke here from the Chameleons, providing some nice support against that vampiric force. And so far, Shidoku gets the better of that initial engagement, hands down. So these skinks here are going to be taking a beating for sure. Mortis Engine is coming in, and it looks like the Banshee's going back here to attack the spears. The Banshee should probably just attack the Dread Saurian. Yeah, here comes one. And they actually have okay mass. So the Goose and the Banshee are attacking the Dread Saurian, Mortis Engine is draining, and the rest of the undead forces are now engaging. So, I mean, there could be some good opportunities here to come in with the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, use the Helm of Discord right now to really nerf the stats here of the Dread Saurian, but it looks like he's going after the Toad, which is good, because the Dread Saurian's a little bit pinned up by the Banshees and whatnot. So here he comes, and Heart Piercing, yeah, all the buffs popped. Tempest could be coming off cooldown relatively soon, but man, that Toad is taking a beating. Helm of Discord really counterplaying the Aura of Pretzel here. But the Dread Saurian's coming in, and the Dread Saurian is going to be doing a bunch of damage if he's not careful. So Ulrich might need to pull back with his Blood Dragon Vampire Lord and just kind of, take his victory here. He already did a ton of damage to the Dread Saurian and to the Fat Toad. So, I think he could just play it a little bit safer here. So it looks like he gets back up in the sky. He's in good shape. He's got Fellbats. His Mortis Engine is draining happily. It's draining Temple Guard. It's draining Skinks. Nice Tempest, though. That Tempest is pretty game-changing. Good breath attack coming in from the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord onto the back of the big boy here. And he does land to kind of get out of that Tempest, which is a pretty cool play. Here, the Dread Saurian's taking a bit of work, and it's kind of a bit of a precarious situation for the Slan, because does he heal himself or does he heal the Dread Saurian? Probably putting your investment into because the thing is, you heal the Dread Saurian, the Slan dies or gets chased off, and then the Dread Saurian has no healing for the rest of the game, or do you kind of save your healing for other stuff and let the Dread Saurian go? But we'll see what he decides to do. Blood Dragon Vampire Lord up in the sky, going to be landing here. Looks like dropping a zombie summon. Look at the jukes from the Slan just outmaneuvering the zombie summons. But nonetheless, it's a good summon because that is going to partially shut down the Skinks. Not totally, but it's still going to be very helpful. And Ulrich's Mortis Engine is doing its job. It's draining the health of Temple Guard, who eventually will lose this fight. It's incremental damage, it's slow damage, but it really does add up at the end of the day. Here, of course, we have the Flying Goon Squad continuing to hunt the Toad, the Dread Saurian hot in pursuit here, but the Banshee's kind of sticking on his tail, and Ulrich has pulled forward the Cryptors, and the Cryptors could, of course, provide some blocking here. And I think this Slan is just toast. I mean, if Ulrich plays his cards right and continues to be aggressive, you can see the Dread Saurian's really struggling to get away. It's poisoned, it's being shanked, and the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord needs to get away. And watch out, the Dread Saurian's coming for that booty right there. So 2.7 down to 2.2. That is a ton of damage. I mean, Dread Saurian's hit so damn hard. And it looks like the Slan is done for. He's terrified, he's shaken. So, I mean, you 100% have to finish off that Slan. If you let the Slan live, he'll come back, he'll cast spells, he'll heal himself. He'll cast one more Tempest, which could potentially kill the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, so he needs to force path through. And yeah, just like I said, the Tempest coming in. He didn't really have a chance there to finish him off, but that Tempest will do good damage. So the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord is going to be near death after this Tempest. It will do a bunch of damage, and he's also being poked by the Skinks. Now, the one thing that's going very well for the Vampires, though, is the fact that the Mortis Engine has been draining this entire time, and the Temple Guard are both at about half health, give or take. which is good for them. The Blood Dragon Vampire Lord needs to be ultra conservative at this point. Basically, what I would recommend, and obviously Ulrich is probably much better at vampire counts than I am, so he knows better, but I would probably pull this guy up and around, just start like cycle charging the front line, trying to win those micro engagements and just stay safe. Just get the incremental value rather than taking a big risk. But it looks like he might go in for an Alpha Strike against the Toad, but the Toad's already done for. He's broken, and down goes the Slan. The Slan falls to the Terror guys. So absolute scrap right here. So Dread Saurian versus Goose, not a good fight for the Goose. The Goose probably, I mean, yeah, the Goose has the tools to do damage back, but honestly, I would probably, again, just be more careful with the Goose. Let the Banshees fight here and just shank this thing down. There's no more healing left, so every kind of poke that this big Dread Saurian takes is going to be pretty substantial. If we look around here, you can see that the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord is circling about, looking for an opportunity to engage here, and the Dread Saurian has earned a couple chevrons, and the chevron bug is no longer an issue. But with the Dread Saurian routing here, you can see the Banshees just circling it, Dread Saurian, Mortis Engine even attacking in melee. That's probably going to spell doom for the Lizards. I simply don't see how they can win without their Dread Saurian. Yes, they have Temple Guard, but Temple Guard are hard countered by a Mortis Engine. And if the Mortis Engine is, they're just going to be tar pitted by Graveguard and zombies like all day. Here you can see Shidoku calling GG. He pretty much knows it's over at this point. The Dread Saurian is going to get chased off by any number of vampiric threats. You can grab the Crypt Horrors, you can grab a Goose, just finish that thing off, play it safe, let the Mortis Engine drain, and that is probably going to be game over here. Banshees are also a good tool against the Temple Guard. They're very tough to kill with their physical resist, unless you have magic damage, and they also have good AP values. And the Terror, of course, will help push off skinks and lower tier troops of the Lizardmen Empire. So the Goose is going to be chasing down the Dread Saurian. We have some Saurus coming back in here, and it looks like Shidoku's going to keep scrapping. You know, he has a sliver of hope for sure. He still has a fair amount of Saurus and Temple Guard. If he can somehow get that Mortis Engine, maybe some Skink Fire. He does have 2 groups of Chameleons with pretty good ammo. He might be able to pick that off. Sorry about that notification, guys. Just my phone being treacherous, as always. I should probably just turn that thing off. But the Terror Goose chasing off the Dread Saurian, -6. Very, very solid plays. And for anyone else who's new to the game, if you guys are just getting into multiplayer, if you're able to break like a big high-value asset, like a big piece of your opponent's army, just grab something small and crappy, or even something big if it's worth it, and chase it off the battlefield. That makes sure it doesn't come back and cannot rally from its route. So always something you see in tournaments and very, very high-level play. The Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, a little bit beat up, but he still has some room before its healing cap, so he should be able to get up there and potentially do some work. Some Graveguard are detaching here. Banshee's still kind of going in and fighting in the pits, getting some okay kills, 22 there, and the Mortis Engine now going to be coming in. Skinks are pushed offline, and without the Skinks, there's really nothing to deal with the Mortis Engine, considering there's like several groups of Graveguard that are basically in perfect health. Graveguard will do okay against Temple Guard. Obviously, in a vacuum, they would lose, but in this case, this game is over. I'm pretty sure Ulrich has this one sealed. Chasing off here with the Vampire is not a bad choice. I believe he does have the Hunger, so if he's engaged in melee combat, he can basically just feed on the Skinks, does he? No, I guess he doesn't. I could have sworn the Vampire characters had the Hunger. Maybe he cut it. The Dread Saurian does shatter, so he no longer needs to chase it. Now the Mortis Engine is going to be coming in and draining down these Temple Guard and these other troops. I really love the Banshee picks. The Banshees are really good. It's like steady, annoying, sticky damage on top of your the big monsters. And it kind of like means you don't have to rely on the gooning with your big flying characters, which of course can take a ton of damage back. It gives you that steady pressure, which I think is just super clutch. I am a huge fan of Ulrich's build here. Very, very solid. So here on the ground, you can see the Banshees going to work, fighting against the Temple Guard and company. Taking a little bit of work, but yeah, Temple Guard are getting danger low. They have 43 models, and it's only a matter of time before Army Losses kicks in. When the Mortis Engine engages here and starts attacking these Temple Guard, it's gonna trigger some issues. Terror routes are going to be going down. Obviously, Saurus are not immune to psychology, nor are Skinks. The cohort of Sotek will stay and fight, but there's only a couple of them. And there's a big scary Vampire Lord coming back in, but I think the Mortis Engine should engage here, although maybe he wants to wait for the Graveguard to push through, which isn't a bad idea. Graveguard, of course, winning their fights against the Saurus Warriors with shields. They were much healthier to begin with, but nonetheless, Graveguard would win that fight in a vacuum. Their armor and their bonus for infantry is usually enough to win those type of engagements. Here we have some Saurus Spears chasing down the Mortis Engine, but the Mortis Engine can basically just cackle and run quite happily. Here the Terror Goose is going to be going after Skinks. Should be able to break those guys, if not shatter them actually, considering they've been broken a couple times. And the big scary boy up in the sky, the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, solid play from Ulrich. He's been cautious all game. Took a couple early beatings. Oh, this breath attack is going to be so good. Oh god, Temple Guard just getting roasted there. Absolutely destroyed by that breath attack. And again, another strength of the Banshee. And that should be army losses here in a couple seconds. I mean, the Lizards are still scrapping, but ever so slightly. You can see all their ranged assets are gone. The Banshees are going to finish off the Temple Guard. Mortis Engine is still in good shape. There is no way. So very solid Vampire play. Very good Lizard play as well. Shidoku had some really good catches. I thought his Tempests were very solid all game. But Ulrich's steady pressure from the Banshees, and I think his build was very well suited to deal with the build that Shidoku brought. So GG being dropped by both players. Good sportsmanship all around. And now we'll go on to the top side of the bracket, which is going to be, I'm not sure, what is still fighting? Oh, the cohort of Sotek. I was like, why are we still in this game here? So the cohort of Sotek going strong. But that's going to be all she wrote for these little lizards. The last of his people will fall. And well played. So guys, it's going to be Ulrich Rahl facing off against Arkin. And then on the bottom side of the bracket, we of course have Aero Krasnik, who advanced into the grand finals. And he awaits the winner of this series. So this, of course, is going to be another best of 3 here, followed up by a best of 5, which will conclude today's ECL qualifier when that is all said and done. So now I'm going to host a new lobby, get these players in. Thank you guys for joining. This is a lot of fun. Great games today. Getting to see some cool builds. That was a matchup I always felt really uncomfortable in, but I'm taking notes. I am taking notes. So well played to those 2 players here. So GG, well played. Ulrich, join new lobby. All right. So we're going to host this. I don't care if you guys see the password. It's totally fine. Turin ECL top 4. Post game spectator. Boom. I don't even know why we need a password run like the beta. It's just, yeah, it's helpful. All right, so let's go ahead and tag these guys. And all right, we're going to get the players in here. And we'll see who joins first. Ulrich Rahl, I think he's playing under some sort of a name. He always likes to roleplay these Norscan warlords, which is pretty thematic for sure. Solid play indeed. So yeah, they should be able to join the lobbies here in a second. So for the first map, we'll do Iron Sand Desert's always a fun one. We'll do that. That should be good. So Arkin is going to be on that side. Let's do Arkin for short. It fits and it looks way better. And Ulrich Rahl's name is already on the other side. Perfect. All is well in the realm. So thank you guys for joining. Now I can get back to chat. Why are people saying rip? Oh my god, that's pretty funny. Anna's comment is so great. The Slanesh bots are they're respecting their Dark Queen, Anna, and they're not attacking. So Ben Yeeman, there is an esports scene, I suppose, for Total War, and you're to an extent, I mean, mostly done on Twitch and YouTube. It's smaller than obviously mainstream esports, but it's pretty healthy. Yeah. Once you get over like 1,000, the Slanesh bots usually strike. Yeah. They come in the shadows. They strike. Remember that scene from 300? Yeah, I'm gonna report the scores here. Make sure my internet isn't giving me any grief. Okay, should be fine. Okay, so that was a 1, 1, and 1. Bracket is updated. He has moved on to the finals. Wish I was rich. I'd toss you money. Dude, no stress, man. Just enjoy yourself. Hang out in the stream. I appreciate the gesture nonetheless. And now we need to get Mr. Ulrich in here. Arkin is ready to go. Got to find him on my friends list. See what name he's playing under. I'm going to have to guess most likely. I mean, he could be Boyka for all I know. Let's see here. Ulrich, where are you? I know you're lurking here somewhere. You're here. There he is. All right. Perfect. And one sec. Cool. We're doing it to it, so he should be joining. He may have had his internet crash there for a moment, so he should be back here in just a moment. Not sure. Hopefully not. Oh, okay. He's totally fine. Okay. And here he comes. He's just restarting his stuff to make sure that his equipment is all good. Welcome, guys. See some new faces in the tournament Discord. Now we can answer questions in chat. Think we'll get something for Make Love Not War? I don't know, Diego. Probably not. I don't know. Wes Bumpus says, I've been watching Turin for a while. It's one of the more wholesome communities. We have a lot of the Total War communities are like that. It's pretty wholesome. Like most content creators on YouTube aren't like, there's not, I don't know, like are there any trolls in the content creator like Total War? I can't really think so. Like anyone who's really polarizing. nowadays. I mean, I think back in the day there was probably more, but yeah. Hey, Mr. Pig, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, Jason. Yeah, that's good. Nicknames is a good idea. Oh, man. And let's see if he's in the lobby. He's still firing it up. Arkin, of course, sitting on the Tomb Kings, just his namesake. Iron Sand Desert will be the first map. After that, I'm not sure. It is best of 3. We'll probably do something, a little bit of Alpine Ridge. Or, you know, I love a good Troll Country battle sometimes. Like, just to mix it up, to have like a super fast, aggressive battle every now and then. I always feel like that's really fun. Turin, with ECL players playing the beta, do you think the most quick players will switch to it in the coming days? The weird thing about the beta is it doesn't have quick battle, so it's a really annoying situation we're stuck in once again. But yeah, at least it's fixing a game-breaking bug. The experience in Chevron bug was horrible. It like basically ruined the games. So it's good that they have it for tournaments. Yeah. Turin, what do you think about the Warcraft 3 Reforged taking all claims? Oh yeah, it's unfortunate. Release the Hounds. It's a bit of a standard though nowadays. I feel like most companies would do that, but yeah, I'm pretty disappointed with Reforged, the launch of Reforged. Hey, Mr. Pig, the terrain's doing really well. Lady Turin has been doing an outstanding job creating some custom stencils, and also we've been using those stencils on the terrain and she's been doing texture on them. It's looking really good. As a matter of fact, after the stream is over, I'm going to spend quite a bit of money, which pains me, but it's for you guys. I'm spending quite a bit of cash on some camera equipment. So I'm buying a dual lighting rig system that's going to go over my gaming table. So it's basically going to make sure it's well lit. And then on top of that, we're going to have, what's it called? Wireless lapel mic. So basically myself and my opponent, when we're doing tabletop stuff, are going to be able to just chat with one another. And it's going to be really good. So I'm investing in some equipment to get the tabletop stuff going. Arkin says he'll be right back. No problem. We have a little bit of time, so we're just going to kind of hang out and chat for now. Of course, Aerocastic awaits, and we've made a good time. I mean, we're just an hour in, so we should probably be done by the 2.5 hour mark, depending on the final series and how that all goes. Ulrich saying he's battling his wooden laptop. Working with him to get that all squared away. Yeah, it's going to be good. What's the largest Warhammer miniature I own? Mortarion, probably. The Primarch of the Death Guard. He's a huge model. He's ginormous. Like, you can't hide him behind buildings. Yeah, so Mortarion's probably my biggest. What's your opinion on Sugondes? I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I'll be able to claim the camera equipment on my 2020 taxes, not for this season. How do you actually have units fight on tabletop? Units have, I mean, obviously it's a dice game, so units have different range and rules and things like that. It's quite complex. I mean, I can't really summarize that in one quick sentence. All right. Ulrich unfortunately battling his potato. Oh, so Ulrich's been playing on his potato laptop all day, he says. Oh, man. He's probably playing with like a trackpad. You know what's really funny? It's a bit of an interesting story. So I have 2 brothers and a sister. And one of my brothers is he lives in New York City, and he's quite a bit younger. I believe he's 19 now, and I'm 31. But anyways, I played League of Legends like a couple years ago, and let's see. So yeah, we played League of Legends a couple years ago with him, and I was playing with my brother, and he was pretty good. I'd never played with him, and he was doing like, had some really good plays with Zed was the character he was playing, and it's like a high micro character back then. I don't know about now. I don't play League anymore, but. And I find out after like 2 months of playing with my brother that he was like playing like platinum level play, in League of Legends, for anyone who knows, like with a trackpad. He was using a freaking trackpad. It's insane. Them youngins. So, pretty funny stuff. So I'll invite Ulrich once more. It says he's playing Total War Warhammer, but it might. Sometimes when you have a slow computer, if you're firing up the main screen, it takes like forever to get there. All right, he's here. All right, picks and bans. And let me look at the bracket to see who's on the top side for picks and bans. So Ulrich will start first. It's loading in here. See the icon coming up. Should be in just a moment. Cool. See if Arkin's back. Perhaps not. But again, he can do his picks and bans and start, doing his army if he wants to. Sorry about the delay, guys. It's the nature of the beast. And we have a donation coming in from Shamgar. Thank you so much for the tenor, man. No message with that, but I really appreciate it. And hopefully you're enjoying the stream. Captain Melons, I don't live in New York. My brother lives there. Yeah. Boomers are 55 to 70 years old, technically, yeah. Ulrich's here, Arrow. Don't worry, he's arrived. He's battling a laptop, he says. He's like literally playing on a wooden laptop. So do your picks and bans. Sorry about the delay. It's the nature of the beast when hosting these tournaments. Ulrich is Russian, yes. Arkin's coming. He is. I will be visiting New York sometime soon. And Arkin the Black says to Ulrich, that was a really good vampire army there. My laptop work again. This map, yes. We are on the Iron Sand Desert. Hey Shangar, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. How far is it into the stream? We're about an hour in, so it's still pretty early, actually. Generally, these ECL qualifiers go anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours, and we've made good progress considering that we've had some setbacks. Could I show the bracket for a second? Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the bracket for the day. We can actually recap the tail of the tape and show you how everyone has gotten here. So if we look at the challenge page. So currently, we have Arrow Krastic in the finals. He had a 2-0 victory over my son, but very, very good series, actually. My son, Herbert Walker, with the dreaded triple mortar build. So Arrow, of course, had a pretty good run. He had to play some really top-tier players. He had to play Zero, who is probably one of the better Chaos players out there. Played against Geese Howard, and of course had a win against Random Nix, a 2-1 series in the beginning. So that did go to Game 3. So he's had some hard fights today. Up on the top side, we have Ulrich and Arkin. Obviously, you saw the series between Ulrich conclude with Shidoku. He played Arin, who's a very, very good dwarf player. And then he played 530 Phil, who I don't believe I've seen 530 Phil play, but I'm sure he's a great guy. Arkin the Black had to play Anticity, who is an up-and-coming player who's super good. Anticity is just really solid. He actually said that, Anticity said before the game, or during his game with Arkin, his nerves kind of got to him, which it can be the case sometimes when you're playing in these tournaments. But he had a 2-1 against Migsa, who's a proven tournament player, and a 2-1 against Hadries, who has won these tournaments before. So Anticity certainly a contender. He had a really, really good run today. So now let's head back to the lobby and get this show on the road. Okay, so Arkin is going to go for High Elves, and whoa, the Norskin guy is going for the Empire, and he's banning Vampire Counts in Bretonnia. So what he's probably going to do is try and ban Vampire Counts one game, and the next game he's going to ban Vampire Coast. I think that's what his plan is, because Arkin mains those factions. He tends to play like Vampire Coast and the Undead faction. So if he can methodically ban those out and like take 2 quick wins without Arkin playing his main factions, it's really smart. Granted, Arkin could have picked Vampire Coast here against Empire, but it's a hard matchup. So it's a really smart picking here from Ulrich. Empire actually, I think, has an advantage against Coast. Huntsmen are just so brutal against Vampire Coast. But Arkin's going to go High Elves. I would imagine he's probably going to go for some single entities, go for like some birds, and looks like he's ready already. His build was just all set. So there's probably going to be some Phoenixes, really taking advantage of Alariel and gooning attempts. From what I've seen with Arkin's playstyle, he likes to just goon things a lot, likes to like take out the leadership. So we'll see. I mean, we could be surprised too. He could go for something totally off kilter. Who knows? I'm sure some people in chat. And we got a donation from Ryan Borgia. He says, "We old men." Hey man, I'm getting there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ryan. I feel good for my age. I feel all right. But, you know, I do have some old man habits. Usually after I finish working or streaming, I just like lay down in a lazy boy chair, like a big old chair, like chair with a recliner. And I just literally eat salami and crackers and just pass out. David C137. Thank you for the $30, man. Lighting fun. Glad to help with the improvements. This is my Warcraft Reforged refund money. Thank you so much. Oh my God, that's funny. And Bubba's Big Blast, Warcraft refunded. He says, I banned their souls and picked the devil who bought Turin off with his greatest curse, miniatures. Dude, thank you guys so much. That's super generous. All right. So we'll see what Ulrich brings. I doubt he's going to bring mortar wagons. Although, you know, against tiles, mortar wagons are actually not terrible. I mean, they're not good, but mortars are good against elves in general, especially high elves who like to sometimes spam a ton of archers. In this matchup, though, I think it usually comes down to like the cav play. I don't know. You got to respect it though, because if Alariel comes in with like a phoenix and a dragon and like cast Tempest on your Franz and you can just like goon it, you basically can just lose the game. So players are ready. Let's get the show on the road. Hopefully Ulrich's potato laptop holds up. He said it's made of wood. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, going to be going over to Sammy's cameras here in Pasadena, California to buy the lighting equipment and microphones. I'm so damn excited. And Anna's done such a good job with the decorating the terrain so far. It's going to be a sweet battle report. And so the terrain we're using for the battle report, 40K battle reports, are actually made by my stepdad. So my stepdad has access to some resources to create such things. So we're hand making like chipboard. It's like a hard chipboard material. And we're going to actually sell terrain sets for 40K. And it's going to be like super economic. Like normally if you want to fill up your whole table with Games Workshop terrain, it'll run you like $300 to $500 if you want like a full table. As far as like, you know, Frontline Gaming and these other competitors, it's like, you know, probably going to run you like $150 to $200 for a set. But for us, it's literally going to be like $40 or $50 and you get like a full terrain's worth. Now, it might not be like as durable as like a hard plastic, but it'll suit your purposes for sure. And it's very customizable as well. So players are loading in. We got another donation from hang on, let me pull this up. From David for the lighting fund. Thank you, man. And also I see one popping up right now. It's just like, there we go. I have to go up here. From Joe Leonard. Let's get these donations rolling in. Thank you so much for the 20, man. And then also from Captain Cheese Crust. If I donate a penny for every miniature I bought because of you, I would still be broke, dude. I know, dude. It's a reckoning. Thank you guys so much. Joe, David, and Captain Cheese Crust. Very, very great name. Warhammer's an expensive hobby for sure. Especially when you're a Chaos player. Because Chaos is like, no one Chaos faction is generally good by itself. You have to like mix them with other ones. So you're like forced to like buy miniatures from like so many different armies and just soup them together. Going to be playing, the first battle reports will actually be with some of the folks from my league. So I'm going to be getting some guys, some good friends of mine from my Warhammer league I play in, and they're going to record the first few. I think my first game will probably be against Custodes. So I'm going to play, he has a pretty cool Custodes army with Trajan Valorous and a lot of stuff. So it'll be my Chaos versus his Custodes. And then the second battle report will be my Chaos against Tau. So we'll be facing off against the Tau Empire with a bunch of Riptides and broadsides and things like that. So should be pretty fun. So players are loading in. Looks like the potato computer has succeeded. And not too many single entities actually from Arkin. He just has the dragon and the bird. Interesting stuff. So for the Forces of the High Elves in Arkin, looks like it's going to be 2 Reaver Caps, so 2 of these bad boys, which are a pretty good answer against Pistoliers. They can outrange them. They can beat them in melee combat. It's a solid pick. For the front line, a ton of the, very aggressive White Lions pick. You don't see that often. A lot of people like to kind of, just crap on White Lions, give him the business here. But he does have a bunch of those. Some Spearmen on the far sides of the flank. So basically, he'll probably push up the Spearmen to help in the cat fights. And then he does also have the Fireborn, Reavers, a Walmart Dragon, which aka the Moon Dragon, and Alariel. So yeah, when you have Fireborn, Alariel's pretty much like a must pick in my opinion. So for the Forces of Ulrich Rahl, hopefully it's not too laggy. I noticed there's a little bit of choppiness, but hopefully that will stabilize here. Not sure who the culprit is. Spearmen at Arms, Pistoliers. In the back, we got some Reichsguard Knights, so Empire Knights and Zintler's Reichsguard. The Royal Altdorf Griffites as well. And up in the sky, a pretty good Goon Squad. I think this is actually going to be pretty good here because the thing about Arkin's army is he doesn't have like much of an air force. He's got the Dragon, but the Dragon and Alariel could normally probably 2v1 against Franz perhaps with Tempest. But Franz has the help of an Empire Captain plus a Jade Wizard, so there's some really good tools for the Air Force fight here for the Empire, which I like. And in the back, we have a wild... Oh my god, is this a Sunmaker? Oh, Ulrich coming in with the Sunmaker. Now, believe it or not, the Sunmaker, I've been using it against Isles for some time, not too long. And I've been having success with it. It's really good against mass archer playing, like Sisters of Averlorn and things like that. So I wonder what he'll shoot with it. He could shoot it like the cav units, but it has very low ammo. So you have to make your shots count. And honestly, shooting the White Lions probably isn't a bad idea. So again, guys, there might be a little bit of lag in this game. Remember, players are connecting from all around the world, so my apologies if it's a bit of a slideshow, but that is the nature of Total War Warhammer multiplayer, unfortunately. It happens from time to time if you want to, obviously play with folks from other countries. So the dragon's here. It's coming in. The Moon Dragon. We do also, of course, have the Fireborn here on the low ground. I'm quite curious to see what the Sunmaker is going to shoot. Probably just going to go after White Lions initially. Sunmaker has some insane range. I think it has the furthest of all artillery in the game at 480. So it can outrange bolt throwers, it can outrange great cannons, it can usually get a couple shots off guaranteed at the very least. So Halves are moving forward, Sunmaker's coming in. We get to see a nice look, guys. It's a cinematic shot. Just pretend like it's a slow-mo cinematic, and we'll be all good. So here it comes, dropping some fire into the White Lions, and the Empire is going to be coming forward here. Boom, going right into those guys right there. Here comes another shot. Should be shooting in as well. I would imagine it could perhaps be Ulrich's. Because since he's playing on the laptop, his computer may be struggling. So hopefully it's not the case, but we'll see if it subsides or not. Royal Altorf fights, Empire Knights going to be surging to the weaker side of the formation away from the Fireborn, which isn't a bad idea. Like force the Fireborn into a kiting situation and then just like screen out this flank with spears and then pressure the weak side of the formation. Always a pretty good idea. Here you can see the White Lions definitely taking a bit of a hammering. Franz and his Empire captain going to be pulling over. Truly is a slideshow right there. And here it comes. So shots coming in, raining some hot fire into the White Lions. Not so good that time. And I'm curious though, like how effective do you guys think it would be to shoot the Sunmaker? Like I don't know about its AP values overall against like heavy cav. Like maybe if it got like a square hit on the Fireborn, although Fireborn have a crazy fire resist, so yeah, I guess that wouldn't work. It does do fire damage. Yeah, okay, never mind. That idea scrapped. In the front line, there's going to be a charge coming in. Royal Altorf fights with some hammering into the front, so you can see the White Lions just getting absolutely pounded right here. Another charge. So really good play here from Ulrich. This is solid. He's going to be getting a ton of value. And Arkin and Forging goes down on the Royal Altorf fights, which is kind of like it does decent damage to these type of units, but not going to be like devastating. And so far, I would say that engagement, yeah, and you can see he's now shooting at the Fireborn, but the Fireborn with their 75% missile resist, it's going to be too much. It's not going to do enough damage. So hopefully for his sake, he does notice that those are the Fireborn and switches onto some other targets like these White Lions on the far side. And honestly, with the Sunmaker, just kind of shoot at whatever the hell you want. And I mean, it's doing okay poke. Franz going to be going for the dragon. Maybe. No, it looks like he's deciding to pull back. The front line of the Elves does get hammered pretty hard by the Empire Cav, the Empire Knights, and of course the Royal Altorf Griffites and these other troops doing some really good damage. But now the Elves are starting to encroach, and there's going to be sort of a sense of inevitable doom, right? Because as you kind of get cornered, the Cav are going to run out of room to work. But there's a really nasty Death Star for the Empire. Like the Griffites and Franz can basically just ride around and goon things. They can just take out these White Lions. They can just bounce back and forth to different threats, and basically can just avoid these guys if they want to. So here he's pulling back. Zilner's Reichsguard going to be retreating here. On the far side, you can see the Reaver Cav pressuring the flanks, and this is nice actually too. It puts a lot of pressure on Arkin here, getting the Empire Captain and just chasing down Alariel the entire game. Franz in the meantime just getting some hammering, and the White Lions really just getting punished quite hard. And now the Sunmaker getting some good damage. It's almost out of ammo. It's about 40%, 30%, but getting some really, really solid damage here into the Illyrian Reaver Cav. So Pistoliers going to be pulling back. Honestly, maybe just getting 2 Pistoliers and trying to overload and just swarm one of the Reaver units could be pretty good. But the Empire seems to be winning a lot of these ground engagements. The Dragon trying to get a good breath attack here. You need something, Dragon? Just looking for retreats here. Nonetheless, Franz up in the sky. Going to be continuing to chase down this character. Yeah, but Alariel's very fast on her bird. She's got 110 speed, and the Empire Captain has 105. Sorry about the noise, guys. And the Fireborn do take an engagement here. It's actually a little bit of a winning engagement for the Elves, it looks like. You can see that the Fireborn with the Star of Avalorn are able to push back the Empire Cav units. I know this is a nice pick here by Arkin. Arkin's able to get the Moondragon, and the Jade Wizard was kind of sitting flat-footed. Just like in fighting, you don't want to sit flat-footed in Total War. You always kind of want to be moving, but obviously it's quite hard with multiple units. But the Jade Wizard does get punished really bad. That's an incredibly nice catch for Arkin. I don't know if he's going to be able to follow up and chase it off the battlefield. The White Lion blob obviously is now blobbed up with the Fireborn, who are also in really good shape. And it looks like the Reavers actually kind of got wavered and pushed back as well. Sunmaker is still shooting in. Ammo's pretty good. It looks like maybe Ulrich is manually shooting this. So again, guys, my apologies for the slideshow. Hopefully it'll be resolved in the final. I know Aerocrossic has a good connection, so it should be fine. Empire Knights here. Getting charged, actually. So a little bit of a lapse of micro here in Ulrich. And you can see here the Empire Knights, they take a huge charge here from the Fireborn, and the Zentless Rex card, of course, engaged here. Now the Empire Captain's coming down. It looks like Ulrich is trying to save his wizard here. Oh, this is actually really big. So here in the back, Franz going for a gooning attempt here on Alariel and doing some huge damage, but he's also afflicted by Arkin on Forging, which does good damage, and the dragon is attacking him as well. So Franz, though he is getting some huge blows on the Pigeon Queen, he takes it right back. Now, the Jade Wizard is here, but he's broken right now. Power Stone is active, so there probably is enough for a regrowth. And I would say that was a good engagement for the High Elves. The High Elves able to get a better engagement there and force back the Franz. Not often you see High Elves, for sure. This fight's still going on here. Fireborn, of course, still going fisticuffs against a ton of Empire Cavs. Zentless Reichsguard and Royal Altdorf Griffite starting to chew them down. Franz taking that damage, though, could be game-ending, potentially. Franz is -3, and if he kind of loses his control here... Oh, it looks like there's a regrowth coming down, perhaps. It's a long cast, and the regrowth is active. Is Ulrich going to be able to juke here? This is really big. If he can get Franz and juke these attacks and stabilize him with the regrowth, that might be enough. -48, Franz is broken. Empire Captain is chasing down Alariel up in the sky. And it looks like Ulrich is... He still has some pressure on the battlefield. His cav are kind of breaking to the Fireborn, though, and it looks like that's probably going to be game for the High Elves. And now, again, the High Elves are another faction we don't see too much in competitive play. They're good, but again, it usually takes people who kind of specialize in them to pull it off. But the amount of white lines, the pressure with those guys, and the Fireborn, and yeah, Franz just really getting taken out by the Dragon there, I think was the straw that may break the Empire's back. Now, they're not out of this game yet, but Franz, he might get enough separation. Okay, he's back. That's big. He doesn't have enough health to fight this Moondragon, though. The Moondragon speed is 85. Franz is a little bit faster. Now, if Ulrich can goon out Alariel, looks like the connection's kind of stabilizing, a little bit less choppy. If the Empire Captain is able to goon out Alariel somehow, like if there's a slip-up in Arkin's Micro, maybe? Even still, though, it's going to be tough. So here we have the Royal Altdorf Griffites fighting the Fireborn once again, and heavily outnumbered. The Griffites, of course, are a low model count unit in general. But yeah, the Sunmaker in the back line's taken offline, not that it really matters. There still are some Pistoliers. Jade Wizard's broken as well, so no more healing for the Empire. There are some Spears here fighting as well, but it's only going to be a matter of time, I think, before the High Elves win. There's too many white lions on the ground, and Franz is too beat up. Like, even if Franz was able to kill the Dragon plus Alariel, he'd still have to land on the ground and fight the White Lions, which, I mean, yeah, he'll do okay, but he'll eventually get chopped down. White Lions are kind of like a generalist unit. They have, like, good AP. So they can, you know, even get through Franz's melee defense, which is only 43. It's not, like, super insane. So we still have some Benny Hill up in the sky. The Empire troops on the ground are getting pushed back. You can see these Empire Knights getting pushed and the Spearmen getting pushed as well. And it looks like that's going to be game one going to Arkin at this best of 3. So hopefully, again, the lagginess isn't too unbearable for you guys. I know it's the nature of the beast, though. Unfortunately, dedicated servers usually aren't made, you know, broad about for games that aren't focused on multiplayer explicitly. So here comes the Star of Avalorn. That might be enough healing to actually just trigger army losses, because it's going to be healing up a lot of these troops, therefore affecting the balance of power. And Franz is running in circles. Pistolier's kiting somewhat effectively, but here you can see army losses kicking in. There's basically no chance. I did like Ulrich's build quite a bit, but some of the engagements, Franz's engagement and the Fireborn getting a great countercharge on that Empire Cav blob was really, really nice. So that's going to be game one going to Arkin. So let us go ahead and update the scoreboard, and the players can prepare for their next picks and bans. And we will sally forth one game closer to our finals. Thank you guys for enduring. Let's go ahead and update the scorecard here. And Arkin is up 1-0 with a high elf victory nonetheless. I was expecting more kind of single entities from him, but he only had the dragon, really, in Alariel. So now we're going to be jumping over to, for this next map, let's go ahead and do a good old Troll Country rush. And if there's lag, I think Troll Country is a good choice too, because it gets the game, it's a quicker game. Alright, so Troll Country. GG, well played. Troll Country now. And now the players can pick away. We'll see what they do. All right, guys, so we're doing it. Here we have another donation from Rando Howard. Warhammer tourney means weekend. Yes, brother. Thank you, Rando, for the very generous donation. And thank you guys all for joining. I see we're up over 1,000. Make sure to drop some love here on the stream if you guys are enjoying it. It does help out quite a bit. And yeah. Can you set up a server for yourself for multiplayer battles? No, it would basically... so there's not a dedicated server. I'm pretty sure that they just use the Steam servers to connect, because the leaderboard is done through Steam. So basically, Creative Assembly would have to invest a substantial amount of money and resources to do it. And I don't think... Unfortunately, it's not enough of a percentage of the players play multi... I mean, in terms of YouTube, honestly, I feel like more people sometimes watch multiplayer than campaign, with the exception of like a few creators, but... Like, in terms of, like, people actually playing, a much smaller percentage plays multiplayer. So the players are restarting, I think. I'm not sure where they went. I just like minimized and came back. Let me check the Discord here. All right, so the players are just rebooting to see if that'll help with the lag, and then they're going to come back in, and we should be good. And also, guys, this gives us an opportunity to take a look at the previous qualifier. So if we look, we've had 5 qualifiers so far, and as far as who's qualified, we have A Move Hacker, the Great Falcon, of course, champion of several ECL seasons. Flying Taco, of course, had a great run as well. Talaxla Soothsayer, to no surprise. And Odium Imperator with a very, very nasty run. And not nasty in a bad way, but in a good way. Like, very, very powerful pressure and solid games. I think he pretty much went undefeated in that tournament, like in the entire ECL with like 50 people playing. So today is for the 6th spot. So the winner in the finals, Aerocrastic, of course, is in the finals, facing off against the winner of this best of 3 series. We'll do it to it. So go ahead and invite Ulrich back once again. Hopefully his computer didn't crash. If it did, we may actually just have to move forward. At least we had a game between them, so it can be decided in a way of sorts. It looks like he's still online though. See him on my list. Let me check with him here. We'll see if he returns. He's battling his wooden laptop, but fear not, he shall return, and in greater numbers. All right, I'm going to scroll up and read some comments now. Turin, will you do any kind of work with Terra Firma terrain? I'm not sure what that is, brother. Well, my bike got stolen, but at least there's a Turin stream to watch. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That sucks. Bikes are expensive, too, especially if you have like a nice street bike or a road bike or something. Sorry about that, man. And Crag says, I agree with you, Turin. I only play campaign, but I don't feel good enough to play multiplayer, but I love multiplayer games on YouTube. Yeah, they're really fun to watch. Battles are pretty exciting compared to like a static overhead view of a campaign map that can be very monotonous. Battles are where it's at for viewership. Now, I think campaign's really fun to play, but in terms of watching, the cool Anon says, I can't watch campaign since I'd rather just play it, but multiplayer battles have a wide variety of builds and strats to make it really entertaining to watch. Yeah, great feedback indeed. So players are just rejoining. Sorry about the delay, guys. We'll be back in business here soon. Orc, big boy, big and bam bams, says Wicked. That's pretty good. Oh no, they arrive! Guys, raise your halberds! Create the shield wall! The first of the bots, the Vanguard, is here! Wicked has taken it out quickly, but more will arrive. They'll be back in greater numbers. Oh my god. You guys like it? You guys like when they learn about chat and everything? It's so funny. Okay. Okay, Arkin is back. Arkin said he changed his localization to the US West servers. I don't know how you do that or if that's even possible, but we'll see if that helps. And then his opponent will be back in a minute or two. He said he's just fidgeting with some settings on his laptop to try and make it more watchable for you guys. Looking out for your interests, but nonetheless, we'll just hang out and chat. I mean, we have games. Chris Vickers says, hey, Turin, any plans to head to Adepticon? Probably not Adepticon because the plane flight would be like a cost in the hotel. I'm going to be playing at a couple big tournaments for Warhammer Tabletop. I'll play at Battle for Los Angeles and maybe the Bay Area Open this year. Those are my plans for playing at big events. Thank you for the donation, Falcon. Well, you'll probably get a chance to play him in the grand finals. So don't you worry. Your time will come. Guys, fend off the bots. The bot says GG. Did it say GG? It makes me wonder if there's someone doing it. Yeah, if there's someone like behind those. Any chance for a kill team on YouTube? Maybe someday. One of the things I prefer to do much bigger like battles. So I prefer the big scale battles with like a city. That's why I like all that stuff. Sensei, my Death Guard are good. I mean, they're painted. I haven't been playing them much because they're pretty weak right now. And it sucks just getting run over by Space Marines. But when they get a buff in Psychic Awakening, I'll go back to playing. Yes. You want to see the bracket for today? So we'll show you the brackets once more. Sure. Somebody had a chat. So this is today's bracket. Arkin is facing off against Ulrich, so obviously that needs to be updated. And the winner of this will go to face Aerocrastic. And if we're looking at the challenge capture, let's go ahead and head on over there. You can see this is the overall bracket. So I think I can make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Hold on. That's probably fine. So yeah, you can see Aerocrastic, of course, waiting in the finals. Arkin the Black had a pretty good run as well. But yeah, it was a big tournament. Arkin in his first game played Xiphos and had a 2-1 victory. Those are very close games for sure. Yeah, we've had good runs across the board. You guys can see everything here. Exploding Hamster also played today. Had some really good games. 2-1 against Pacifist Warlord, who's a great player, and then just narrowly lost the series against Zero, who's a top-tier Chaos player. So that's pretty much the tail of the tape there. So let's go ahead here. I don't know. If he can't get his connection going soon, we might have to just move forward. He said thanks. He's coming. And we'll see if this solves the problem. We have a donation coming in from Chris Vickers. He says, hey, Turin, any plans to head to Adepticon? Okay, so I just read that one twice. Yeah, not sure about Adepticon. Falcon with another donation against his nemesis here. Oh, man. Who am I playing today? Currently, my army is Chaos Space Marines. Well, Falcon, thank you so much for the donation, man, nonetheless. And you'll have your opportunity for vengeance, I'm sure. Your Death Guard are unbeaten at the moment in Kill Team. Yeah, they're really good in Kill Team, actually. But I play Emperor's Children. That's usually my jam right now. Emperor's Children, Death Guard. My army has 3 detachments. It has a Death Guard detachment, it has an Emperor's Children detachment, and it has a Thousand Suns detachment. So basically, I use the Emperor's Children for firepower and forward aggression. The Death Guard tanks I use to just screen and take a beating, because that's what they're best at. And then the Thousand Sun Psychers give me steady damage and psychic utility. So it's a really strong army. I've had pretty good success in tournaments with it. It's not like top tier list, but it's pretty good. I cry every time I see Greenskin Tech Tree. I know, the Greenskin Tech Tree is super outdated. Oh, the quick battle is not working in the beta. Yes. All right, I'm gonna check in on our guy here. He might just have to move to the finals if he's not able to make it. Typing to him right now. He's trying his best. I understand it's probably stressful for him sitting there trying to make his wooden laptop work. I think he was on his other PC, but then it started having some issues. So it's just an unfortunate circumstance. So yeah, Thousand Sun Psychic is really good. Yeah, it's really, really good. Maybe Ulrich, that could be true also. Ulrich might have actually clicked on one of the Slanesh links and it just doomed his PC. And for anyone watching back after the fact, again, there will be timestamps, so you guys will be able to see that all, and we'll have to endure and wait. We're going to be on Troll Country. But perhaps the Slanesh bots have taken the soul of Ulrich. The bots are gaining sentience. I know, it's like Skynet. As a matter of fact, Anna and I have been on a bit of a binge watching the Terminator movies. We watched Dark Fate. It wasn't as bad as people said it was, but it definitely wasn't great. It lost that what was so good about Terminator 1 and 2 was like that dark ambience it has, and just like the metallic kind of sound and feel it has, and just like it was really like scary, right? And like a lot of the newer Terminator movies have kind of just lost that. Like they go for like more comedy, and like, yeah, there was a little bit in Terminator 2, but it wasn't like, I don't know. Yeah. Ultimately, I was a little bit disappointed with Dark Fate. And he's back. All right. Picks and bands. Go, go. All right. Seems like the connection's better now. Let's get the show on the road. He's here. We're going to see if Ulrich can bring back the series. I do play demons. I play Nurglings and Poxbringers. Yeah, as my troops in my Death Guard battalions usually. Or in my Nurgle battalions. Soren Krieger Anderson, thank you for the 50 DKK. I find your lack of corn rep and tabletop. As a matter of fact, some of the terrain we have, Soren, is covered with the mark of corn. Yeah. So no worries. I had feared that Ulrich was dragged into the Shadow Realm. Arkin picks the Followers of Nagash and he bans Chaos, and he gets 2 bans. Interesting. I feel like Tomb Kings would have an okay matchup against Chaos. That's an interesting one. He has 2 bans. And Norska. Okay. Ulrich loves playing Norska, so that's a smart ban. We'll see what he picks. I mean, again, He can play any number of factions, but those are really smart bans because like if you know what your opponents like to play, like that's a big part of like tournament play too. If like you do your homework and study the people who are likely to get to the top, and you can ban around their picks. Like you pick a faction that is good against one of their good picks, and then you ban the other one. There's a lot of like tactics to it. It's much like in like other esports, like League of Legends, when they ban certain champions like that they know certain teams are good at. It's similar in Total War actually when you get to the higher level. So we'll see how this holds up. We'll see how it holds up. The Sarah Connor Chronicles, I didn't see that. Yeah, the concept of the Terminator is great. I agree. Oh, he's going to go Coast. Oh, yeah, Coast versus Kings is one of my favorite matchups. I actually really like this one. It's really fun. Yeah, like Terminator 1 is like, and 2. Terminator 2 is obviously the, widely considered to be the best one, but Terminator 1 is really good also. Like that first scene in Terminator 1 when Arnold walks into the Tech Noir club, like the nightclub where Sarah Connor is, and then like, the Kyle Reese or Michael Biehn is the actor. He comes in and like battles the Terminator for the first time, and they have to run, and Arnold's just like running through the flames chasing him. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Like this. And then the scene in Terminator 2, when you have like one of the coolest scenes like in cinematic history, one of my favorites is in Terminator 2, you have them, the main characters are running down the hallway, running from one of the Terminators, right? And at this point, they don't know that the Arnold Terminator is like their ally. He was sent back and reprogrammed in the future. So Arnold comes down the hallway, like, and they're like, oh my God, not him again. And they think they're surrounded by Terminators, and Arnold drops the fake box that has like a rose in it, and the rose falls, and then he just whips out this like sawed-off shotgun or whatever it was, I forget, and just like, oh, that scene is so epic. Like just that slow-mo of Arnold coming around the corner with the shotgun and as the rose falls, it's like such a perfect cinematic shot. Anyways, bit of a rant there. Sorry, guys. I just love the original Terminator movies. Well, Falcon, we'll let you play him in the grand finals, man. Don't worry. How does a shot blow him back? I'm not sure what you're asking, Jigsaw. I feel like halflings might get added someday as like a meme, like for a special holiday or something. They might just add like a couple halfling units like the Empire or something. Like they're not going to add a whole faction, but I can see them adding like a sub-faction of the Empire, like the Moot, that has access to Empire units and like a couple halflings. I can see that happening someday. Yeah, Michael Biehn was also in Alien. It's interesting. He had a really cool career in the 80s. He was in Alien. He was in Terminator. He was great in Terminator. He really captured this like kind of a post-traumatic stress like future soldier guy who's like doesn't fit in the modern world, but like is coming back for his love basically. It was great. It was great. So Arkin is ready. Ulrich is coming up next. Terminator 1 is really good. Ulrich picked first, yes. Ulrich did the first picks and bans. We'll see how this goes, guys. Ulrich, of course, knows he's on the ropes. It's currently 1-0 for Arkin. And again, my apologies for the delays, guys. It's the nature of the beast when you're running these live tournaments, unless you have dedicated servers and, all the players are vetted esports players with great connections. It's the nature of, grassroots esports, which is, I suppose, what I would call the Total War community. So we're trying our best. Yeah, I like Vampire Coast and the Tomb Kings. I think that matchup's great for Coast. You bring like Luther Harkin, like another Terrorgeist, and like you can bring like a cannon and just like a bunch of dogs. And yeah, Zablasky, you have a good point for sure. He's playing Followers of Nagash, so he doesn't have access to a couple things. He's trying to send a message here. Michael Biehn did have a good career. He kind of ended up doing more like kind of B movies as he got later into his career. But I mean, I still think his performance in Terminator and Alien is like legendary. And I guess while we're waiting, we can just talk about those kind of that time period. Terminator Salvation, the one with Christian Bale, had some teeth. It wasn't bad, but I felt like there was just something missing. Like it didn't have the. I don't know. There's something about the Terminators like. Some of the magic of Terminator 1 and 2, in my opinion, is the fact that it's like a smaller scale and it's like lower budget. Like, and having the Terminators blend in with society. I mean, yeah, Arnold doesn't blend in really, but having them like you know, be amongst humans and like kind of be like this underlying threat. Nobody like believes you kind of thing. I felt like when Terminator Salvation went very wide scale and tried to like encapsulate the full threat, it kind of lost that like intimidating feel of like this looming Terminator chasing you, especially like when it's Arnold, because Arnold really like was like big and looming and scary, right? So I felt like when it tried to go wider, it kind of like lost it. Christian Bale's a great actor, you know. I don't know of the ones outside of 1 and 2. I'm trying to think what my favorite would be. I mean, I liked that one enough. Salvation was fine. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Salvation had cool environments for sure. Christian Bale. He had the Batman voice in that one too. Yeah, Abyss is good. Tombstone's a great movie also, correct? They did run out of story to tell after 2. Yeah, and the whole like twist with Dark Fate was really, I did not like with how they did it. You know? I don't know. It's okay though. You can't have everything in life. Yeah, those 80s like kind of grim dark movies. Like the first Escape from New York, like with Kurt Russell, was a really good one too. I mean, it's nowhere near the caliber of Terminator in my opinion, but you know, that was a kind of a grim dark atmospheric one that had that feel to it. Obviously not the best movie, but it's really fun. Kurt Russell's the man. The Thing, like I think The Thing is so much better than like modern horror movies, like the kind of the cosmic horror aspect of that and like the practical effects and just like the looming dread. It's like the 80s were really good at capturing the looming dread in a lot of those type of movies. Yeah, and sometimes for early 90s too, but I don't know. Movie talk time, guys. RoboCop was really fun. Escape from New York, Escape from LA was just an absolute meme. They're like literally surfing tidal waves in the city. It's like absurd. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Space Toucan? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, RoboCop was a good movie. Dark City, yeah. All right, guys, so we're in the battle. Hopefully it's not going to be too choppy. So let's go ahead and take a look at the forces of the Tomb Kings and the followers of Nagash. So it's going to be Arkin the Black playing his namesake, I'm sure. So Double Tomb Scorpion. These guys, of course, are good against Depth Guard and surprisingly decent against single entities. They have a weird hitbox, too. So like trying to snipe them with cannons and gun lines can actually be kind of hard. He's got chariots, a ton of skeleton horsemen just to disrupt missile pieces. 4 groups of archers. So in total, there's going to be 4 skeleton archers, a frontline group of Nehakar warriors mixed in with skeleton warriors. No Arkin the Black, actually, going with a regular Tomb King. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, monstrous pressure in the form of a Tomb King and a Scorpion. Nehakar warriors mixed in with skeleton warriors, archers with skeleton horsemen to pressure the flanks and go after gunline units. Now for the vampires, let's take a look. We do have in the back a couple halberds, bombers. Bombers are very good against skeletons and Nehakar warriors and Tomb Guard. They can do a ton of work. He does also have 2 carronades. Or no, 1 carronade, 1 mortar. So obviously the carronade will be used against the Tomb King, mortar against the archers. Some depth guard mixed in the trees, and oh, I thought that was a bloated corpse. I got so excited. It is going to be Foot Noctilus, but a lot of his army is actually invested in the depth guard. I think his army, based on what I see here, is going to have some light problems with the Tomb Scorpions. Granted, he does have cheap halberds who can do okay, but the Tomb Scorpions are going to be pretty damn strong. So we'll see how that goes. And obviously, Arkin has plenty of resources to pressure the flanks. It looks like there was also a monstrous unit as well, in the form of, I think I saw like a Morngul Haunter. Did we see a Morngul Haunter anywhere? So we got Noctilus here, the Hard Knock Life, on foot. I really think Luther's better here in going with Double Goose. Because if you go, like, if you just go with like a tanky army with Double Goose, like the Gooses can just wreck the Tomb Scorpions. And then, yeah, look at this. In the back, there's actually a bit of a Vanguard. So here you can see there's a couple dogs as well as a Morngul Haunter back there. So Arkin's going to be advancing forward. Here he comes. The Nehakar warriors and the mighty scroll pop to get the Winds of Magic regeneration. And I would imagine the carronade, where did he deploy it? So the carronade's right here, and it's going to be taking some pot shots downtown. Vampire Coast moving forward as well, not wanting to sit on their laurels here. And we have a couple depth guard in the trees waiting. He needs to make sure those depth guard don't end up fighting some of the Tomb Scorpions. That would actually be a relatively tough situation. So here we do have Count Noctilus. He's going to be moving in the trees, probably going to be using a summon with his moon dial to target some of the skeletons in the back. And the bombers are actually being used as a frontal unit. So the bombers are scooting forward and are going to be used to pressure the Nehakar warriors and these other troops initially. In the meantime, though, good backline pressure. You can see the dogs have emerged from the trees. Some skeleton warriors are back here. But with the Morngul Haunter, the dogs could probably overwhelm those skeleton. Honestly, yeah, maybe just get the scurvy dogs and attack those guys. And this is also nice for Alric because the backline pressure, it's going to force Arkin to turn around with a lot of stuff. Now, suddenly these archers aren't shooting bombers. Like, just having the pressure alone is going to, stress his micro, to say the least. So bombers coming in here, going to be dropping some fire. Here you go. Here they come. Going to be going after these warriors. Should do some huge, huge damage. A huge misplay in the back, though, unfortunately. A vanguard of skeleton warriors is basically instantly able to kill the cannon, so a bit of a misplay there from Ulrich. He drops a piece there, and also is bombing a little bit inefficient in the front line. He's not able to get the bombs off, even though he had a perfectly good arc of fire. So here, one carronade's gone at the cost of like half the HP of a skeleton warrior. Nice Wraith Storm going down right there. Able to get some fire on the Lich Priest, and over here you can see the other mortar, or the other artillery piece, is being attacked by a Tomb Scorpion, which Depth Guard are defending. Looks like they're taking out the skeletons relatively well, but nonetheless, that's a big loss. That carronade was a great answer against a lot of these different tools. Now, the dogs in the back line, I'm not sure how this happened. Looks like the Morgul Haunter is actually going to fight against the Tomb King, which I think is a bit of a misplay for sure. And the Scurvy Dog's actually committed to that fight as well. One Scurvy Dog is being chased down by a skeleton horseman here, and that's going to be a losing situation as well. So there's many things in this battle that are going very poorly for Alaric here in the beginning. Losing his cannon, the Morgul Haunter being caught out in a duel, and like obviously he emerged, and he even got some distance before Arkin reacted, but I think, yeah, the Scurvy Dogs need to be pressuring the archers. Now, as far as the fight over here goes, Depth Guard were able to do well in their respective engagement, cleaning off some of the units, but now the Depth Guard, yeah, they need to defend that mortar, I guess. There's not too much left here. I mean, the front line of the Tomb Kings is losing. You can see the skeleton warriors and these other tools, and Nehekar warriors are getting pushed down. But he still has a ton of archers to deal with, and losing a Morgul Haunter here really sucks. I think at this point, like, Ulrich has to try and get the Haunter away if he can. And the other Scurvy Dogs, he had an opportunity to actually run up and around, but I think a lapse in micro actually gets them caught by those skeleton horsemen, which is really unfortunate here. So the Morgul Haunter getting chased down by the Tomb King, and you can see the bounce power is coming into the favor of the Tomb Kings here. I just don't think the Vampire Coast is going to have the tools. A couple really unfortunate situations, like losing your cannon, losing your vanguard pressure with the Scurvy Dogs, and getting an expensive elite unit like caught like this is basically a recipe for disaster. Now, the Death Guard are doing well. They're chopping through a lot of these troops, but the Tomb Scorpions are basically in perfect shape. The harass units here are taken out by the Death Guard, which is great for the sake of the Vampirates. Mortar will still be shooting, but there's just so many archers. Now the archers are just going to come in and basically just waste all this stuff. And 2 Tomb Scorpions plus, the War Sphinx here, the Tomb King, are going to be more than enough to deal with Count Noctiluss. Yeah, he's tanky, and he's really good against large targets with his halberd, but it's not going to be enough. Depth Guard are still a threat, but again, Tomb Scorpions are a counter to Depth Guard, so that should be fine. Here you can see some of the horsemen are actually, no, a Scorpion. It's being used to finish off the mortar crew, and these Depth Guard have relatively poor AP values for their overall value, proportionally speaking. So this Tomb Scorpion is basically going to be able to do whatever it wants here, and will not go down in any expeditious manner. Over here we do have a summon, tar pitting the Lich Priest, it looks like, and over here we have a duel of duels, an attempted save here on the Morgul Haunter from Ulrich, but it looks like the Morgul Haunter is going to get taken out by the archers. And Count Noctiluss is doing some nice shanking. He's getting some good work in against the Tomb King for sure, but it's just not going to be enough, I don't think. There's nothing to really kill the Tomb Scorpions at this point. I mean, yeah, the halberds can do okay. Depth Guard are, but you can see the Depth Guard are just like, screw the shit, we're out of here. They just totally left that Tomb Scorpion to its own devices. Oh, actually, no, that was a different one. Okay, back here. I mean, the Tomb Scorpion has taken some work, I guess, but yeah, the Depth Guard are really expensive, and the Tomb Scorpion's already paid for itself like twice over by killing the artillery piece, and it should be able to kill the Depth Guard. I don't know who'd actually win that really grindy fight there. We'll see. So archers of the Tomb King shooting in, going into the zombie pirate gunnery mobs, really kind of peppering into that force, and 4.9, 4.8, 4.7, 4.1 just getting absolutely wasted, and archers in general are just super good against the Vampirates. Noctiluss is basically just getting taken to Pound Town here. He's getting Spirit Leash and just rode down here by the Tomb King. And it's looking like that's going to be the game. I mean, I know it's probably going to be another... Oh, damn it. Stupid phone. I thought I turned it off earlier. Hold on, guys. Let me turn this off here real quick. A stupid thing. All the notifications, so unprofessional. Anyways, archers still shooting in here, going after these zombie pirate gunnery mobs. Depth Guard are surging forward as well, but Noctiluss is in the fight of his life. And he is getting knocked over instead of taking damage. But like I said, when those Tomb Scorpions get in there, that is going to be brutal. And yeah, it's basically going to be Depth Guard just getting kited. And Depth Guard actually go down rather quick to missile fire, even though they're armored. They have a low model count and low HP pool. So they can go down pretty quick to any sort of focus fire. Greenskin Daka, Skeleton Archers, you name it. Noctiluss going to be trying to drop a summon over here. But yeah, we'll see. And, on a positive note, I think most of the lag was coming from perhaps the laptop, the CPU stuff. I don't think it's an internet thing. So hopefully there won't be any lag issues in the grand finals that'll be coming up soon. Ushapti summon used as well. Chariots running through these Depth Guard here. The last of the Vampires kind of getting crumped. Count Noctiluss getting crumped as well. And yeah, there he goes, just getting absolutely tail whipped there, whipping his tail back and forth. Straight up Willow Smith up on Noctilus right there. And yeah, Tomb Scorpions are in relatively good shape. One of them is beat up, but the other one's in solid condition. The Skeleton Archer Legion's in great shape. They're going to be able to just pour peppering fire into this battle here. And it should be army losses relatively soon. It looks like another Wraith Storm's going down, which is a good choice. He was able to get good value earlier, but it's just too little too late. There's nothing left here. Just count Noctilus and some zombies. So Arrow, if you're watching, get ready to join the lobby. It's going to be the same lobby, so if you could join when we finish, that would be much appreciated. And it looks like in the finals, guys, it's going to be Arrowcrastic facing off against Arkin. The Clash of Fates. Who is the Jedi? Who is the Sith? You guys can decide here. All right, there we go. So that's a 2-0 victory right there. Well played to Ulrich. He had a great run today, especially considering he had to play on his wooden laptop, which he said it's much harder to play on. So big props to him for getting this far and putting up a good fight. Despite that, but his Vanguard cost him the game, I think. He needed the Haunter to fight the Tomb Scorpions and the Scurvy Dogs to be more defensive and kind of counterpunch when there was forced openings. So that is going to be a 2-0 there. And we are going to stay in this lobby. GG, well played. Stay here, Arkin. And now we will get Arrowcrastic for the grand finals. Hopefully the lag subsides. And we will go on to, what map do we want to play on, guys? Arrowcrastic's favorite map, the Essence of Chaos. We could do that. Can't remember the Ash Plains. I think Ash Plains is a good map. Let me double check. Yeah, should be good. We have another donation coming in. Thank you so much, Soren. Appreciate that. The Arrow Titan's coming, guys. The dreaded Arrow Titan. Is he going to bring it against Arkin? I don't know. Let me go ahead and update the scorecard here, and we'll report the scores. Arrowcrastic. Pretty cool name. Be quite curious to see like what the story was behind that. So I'm gonna report the scores here. And now it is time for the battle for the fate of Middle Earth. Arrowcrastic against Arkin the Black at a best of 5 series. Here we go. Let's do it to it. So top side. And since Arkin is on the top side of the bracket, he will pick and ban first, where Ash Plain is the map. Yeah, there doesn't appear to be any lag. You can usually tell when you're typing because there's a delay, but it looks like it's all good now. Oh, yes. So hopefully, guys, we'll have connection love here, and we won't have any issues. I think we're all good. Turin, is there some reference you use for good maps? Yeah, as a matter of fact, let me read the people so I make sure I get the contributors right. So there is a spreadsheet for good multiplayer maps that was contributed to by Falcon, Wicked, D, Namru, Dov Plays, Samurai Bro, and Arrowcrastic, and a special thanks to Legatus Leo and Shetland Apache. And yeah, so there's a spreadsheet here. I'm sure we can link it. If one of the mods could link it in chat, that would be most appreciated. It looks like Arrow is rebooting here. What is with it today? Just all the treasonous internet connections. Let me double check to make sure there's no issues. And we are on a beta too, so it could have something to do with that. You never know. All right. And here we go, guys. The battle is here. Chris Vickers, thank you so much for the $5. Super hyped for these two. Yeah, it's going to be a fun battle. Let's see what's going on here. Arkin's picking Tomb Kings, and he can do his picks and bans now. That's totally fine if he wants to. Let me see if I can find Arrowcrastic here. All right, let's go. There he is. Shoot him a message regarding his connection, see if he's all good there. With lobby. And cool. Should be joining in a second. Looks like it could have something to do with the beta. Hopefully it's not. Okay, it looks like he was able to join. And I mean, Arrow's closer to me. He's in the States, so he should be able to connect just fine if Arkin's able to. Oh, Steam is having some issues suddenly, says Arrow. So it looks like maybe it's just like a localized thing. Hopefully it's not too much of an issue. And today is just cursed with lag issues and whatnot. Will you do a head-to-head with Sotek? Yeah, eventually I will. Yes, eventually I will indeed. Yeah, eventually I will. And he's banning Skaven, so he's going Tomb Kings, ban Skaven, and Skaven's a good ban. And Vampire Coast. Yeah, okay. So it looks like there was actually some fear from Vampire Coast from him. I think he was worried about playing Coast. We'll see, though. And again, the winner of today's best of 5 will be added to the qualifier sheet for the Ever-Chosen Grand Finals. Sounds good. Arrow says he's just rebooting Steam, and he should be back on in just a minute. No problems there. And, yeah. Let's see here. What's that, guys? All right. Checking my settings as well. And Mr. Pig says, well, technically we have both Lady Turin and Misha, so I'm not sure about only having one. Although I guess Lady Turin, you guys are... Oh, I think I missed some stuff in chat. What do you think the best movie of all time is? For you, it's Pulp Fiction? Dude, that's too much of a question. Oh, man, I have no idea. I you know, for a long time, I would have said Gladiator. That was, like, my favorite movie when I was, like, a young adult / teenager. But I don't know. Like, I'd have to really think about that. My favorite movie. I love Gladiator. It's so good. Sypho says the Ever-Chosen. Oh, my God. You know what we need is more mortar wagons, I think, guys. That's the real solution to all of our problems. He was able to join. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like a East Coast thing, or I think he's Central. I'm not quite sure what zone he's in. Hopefully not too much drama. The bots have been fended off. Our mods have done a great job. We haven't seen them. It's been some time. Yeah, Gladiator is such a good movie. The War Wagon meta. I think my son Herbert Walker invented the meta. Gladiator is such a damn good movie. Like, that opening battle scene is so good. The Gladiator scenes are just so good. The fighting feels organic. Oh, man. The prequels, Star Wars prequels. I'm sorry you're not entertained, Alt Sweet. Neither am I. All right, Arrow's back. So he went with TK, banning Skaven, and Coast Arrow. So, opening up with Tomb Kings, Arrow Classic, of course, has some options. Arrow says Steam doing what it does per usual. I know, Steam is such shit. Oh my God. It's the worst. I wish we had dedicated servers. Oh. It's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream, guys. So, I'm curious to see what Arrow will pick here. He has a very, very good faction diversity. He's good at a multitude of factions. So, obviously, we can see pretty much anything from him. I think the only faction Arrow doesn't play is Dwarves. Because when I've invited him to my faction wars in the past, you know, he'll always be like, I'll play anyone but Dwarves. So we'll see. He can play Empire. I mean, the world is his oyster. Obviously, Skaven is one of his main factions, and oh, it's single bans. Oh, Arkin, it's single bans in finals. Forgot to mention. So it's single bans here. So Skaven or Coast. Which one you ban here? So it'll give Arrow the chance to switch his faction if he wants to, because in the best of 5 it goes to what's it called, a single ban. Because, you know, if it goes to game 5, then you kind of run out of stuff. Hey Spencer Roos, thank you so much for the $2.99. Really appreciate it, man. And it's so funny. I was watching a YouTube like you know, a creator's video from like YouTube itself, like talking about, you know, in 2020, we're adding all kinds of cool features for creators, including awesome stickers through Super Chat created by some of the best artists. And then you get these like these weird like things like, oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, they are so bad that it's funny. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but we'll see. All right. It's one ban in finals. This is best of 5. So he's banning Coast. So the Skaven are still open. If Arrow wants to bring Skaven here, he can. But it looks like he's going to stay on Chaos, perhaps? And again, in best of 5, you have a lot of wiggle room. This will be interesting. I wonder how Arrow will play this. Is he going to go for like a spawn rush? Or is he going to go for, you know, something with like Marauder Horseman? I mean, there's any number of ways to play this. So we'll see. We will see indeed. And last, yeah, it looks like Arkin is, I think he picked Tomb Kings. Yeah, he picked Tomb Kings. Yeah, cool. So the players are picking the armies, so I'll start when ready. And here we are in the grand finals, guys. Looks like we've avoided all of the lag issues. Not to jinx it or anything, but we're getting there. The super stickers, oh my god, they're so bad. I had some delicious tea. Always doing well for me here. There's the word, you know, the hardest part about this stream right now is there's like some delicious Thai food waiting for me in the other room. And if I, you know, Zero appears right as we talk about Chaos. Zero, of course, a top tier Chaos player. If you guys have any questions about Chaos, please direct them his direction regarding multiplayer stuff. I used to be a Chaos main in Warhammer 1 for sure. I used to play them all the time, but I've kind of switched out of that. I like defensive counterpunching factions. I really like greenskins a lot right now too. I've been playing a ton of greenskins in competitive play. So if I play in some tournaments soon, perhaps you'll see the WoW coming out. Arkin is ready. Aerocrastic, of course, fine-tuning his build. There's a couple ways Chaos can play this. Now, Zero, now that you're here in chat, what would you suggest in the Chaos vs. Tomb Kings matchup? Is it just going to be Shaggoth Pound Town? Are you going to see Kolek and a Shaggoth just fighting constructs? Is that really where we are nowadays? But are there other ways to play that? Basically, is what I'm asking here. $300 was a great movie. Oh my god, I remember when that came out. We got to update the score. The score is good. Yeah, it says 0-0. So when 300 came out, I was like in college. I think I was like a second year of college or first year, and I remember like every single bro that on planet Earth after 300 came out was dressed up as a Spartan. Like every gym bro who like did any sort of workout was dressed up like a Spartan walking around on Halloween. I remember I was just like a shitty pirate or something with like a beard and like fake hair. And then all the gym bros are just like running around with like in just packs. Yeah, it was pretty cringy now that I look back on it. It's an interesting map for sure. One of the factions does kind of start in the lower ground, so maybe I'll have to take that into consideration. No, this is, so Diego, this is a new series. This is game 1 of the finals. Aerocrastic facing off against Arkin. Yeah, it depends. I guess, though, one faction I think starts like a little bit lower, but they can come up and through the forest and get a very nice high ground vantage on this. So I think this map was listed on the maps. I didn't know it that well personally, but it should be fine. Especially considering the matchup. Chaos is just going to be bum rushing. Tomb Kings are going to bum rush too. I wonder if we'll see a casket. That would be really interesting as well. Yeah, pretty quick load time this game, honestly. See Falcon rooting for his champion. See how that works out. So let's take a look here at the forces of the Tomb Kings. So for the Tomb Kings, double Ushopti Great Bow, very standard stuff. Pretty good against big monsters, Chaos Knights, all that. The Sphinx, Tomb Scorpion. The rest of the forces is just going to be Skeleton Warriors with some Halberds loosely mixed in, a Deathcaster with Spirit Leech, and it looks like High Queen Khalida? What? What is this? A High Queen Khalida pick. Now, somebody might have to explain this to me. I feel like Khalida is just like suboptimal in every way compared to the other Tomb Kings Lords, but nonetheless, I mean, we'll see what she can do. I guess she's like a cheap duelist, right, with poison, so see how that goes. Now for the forces of Aerocrastic, he's got a bunch of Marauders, so Chaos Marauders in the front line. Oh, some Chosen mixed in as well. There's no Buna, just Spirit Leeches, so quite nice for him. Double Shaggoth. Arkin, the Ever-Chosen! Oh, hell yeah. And this is great. Of course, Aerocrastic is an Ever-Chosen champion. He won one of the Ever-Chosen tournaments. So he's got Slayer of Kings, Burning Head, all that good stuff. And 2 groups of Chaos Chariots, which will be interesting. And we've seen him use Chariots to great effect, actually, in the Ever-Chosen Grand Finals, one of my favorite games of all time. He used the Chariots to actually defeat Shaggoths, which was pretty interesting. So this is pretty much it. Arrow with a very elite kind of Monster Mash build. Ready? Good luck, have fun. Players, of course, deploying their armies. We'll see how this goes. So obviously a pretty defensive formation here. The Chariots will be pretty effective at, punching through the Tomb Guard. And honestly, you can, target Ushabti Great Bows with Chariots. Like, they're not going to kill them quick, but it certainly has some teeth. Archeon's going to be looking for those Burning Heads. And you can see that's probably why Arkin's formation is a little bit staggered. Yeah, you can see, obviously, this is a smarter spot. If you have the Great Bows, you want to be taking, the range where you can. Although he does kind of yield a bit of a high ground position here by like deploying right here. So, because now, obviously he can be collapsed on from the north. Like, so if Arrow wants to, he can go up into the tree line here, avoid the Ushabti Great Bow fire, and then have like a direct arc here, like right down the valley, which should be totally fine. So Tomb King's moving forward. You can see their armies are going to be repositioning a little bit, getting the Ushabti Great Bows in range. And the Deathcaster are probably going to be running forward as well to try and get a Spirit Leech. Now, as far as what he has a Spirit Leech in a scroll. So if we look at the scroll, look at this haggard guy just like shambling. The Nefera's Scroll of Mighty Incantations. Yeah, so this is the one that basically if you have a bunch of allies in range, you can pop it and it massively increases your wins at magic. And the Warriors of Chaos are coming. They don't have any like flank pressure, the Chaos Army. So like they don't really care about, collapsing inward and like they're not even going to be trying to flank. It's literally just going to be like a brute force push right through the front, I think. So Chaos is coming. You can see here the Shaggoths preparing to charge forward, getting the Marauders in position. Basically, you want to send the Marauders in first to let them take the beating. So it's Mirrorguard, Chosen, and another group of Chosen. The Chosen are going to be very meaty, for sure. And if the Shaggoths can win the monstrous duel versus the Sphinx, that could be pretty strong. Looks like Arkin trying to take position on the valley here, trying to like take away the space around his army for pressure. He's got to be careful. It's a double-edged sword, though, because if you do that, then, the Ushabti... Oh, look at that. An Overcasted Spirit Leech going down on Archeon. Actually able to hit him here. He did take damage from the Overcast, and Fireball's going in as well, so Arrow probably going to use the Fireball to snipe the Deathcaster, which is really smart. Oh, man, an unfortunate cast there, though, goes right into the ground, and he had a perfect arc. Like, why did that Fireball suck so bad? That was weird. Anyways, Chaos Army is advancing here. Tomb Kings are ready. There's going to be no room for the Ushabti Great Bows to retreat, though, also, so if they like try and fall back, they're going to have to scatter in different directions, which is going to make them more isolated. So Great Bows are shooting against Mirrorguard, which is unfortunate for Chaos, but it's not the end of the world. And I would imagine that there's going to be the Great Bows will switch their firepower onto Archeon. So another Fireball coming in from Archeon. It's a really good idea. Just spam Fireballs. And instead of going after the Lich Priest, it looks like he opts to go after Kalita here. A little bit of lag. Hopefully there's no Steam issues. I know. Arrow said there was some Steam issues. If there is something here, we would just replay the game. Just have them repick and do it. They could use different armies. Come on, hold on, buddies. We were doing so good before. Hopefully their potatoes can fight through this. Because this is like unnatural lag. It's like that, yeah. There you go. Okay, it looks like we're good. Fireball's coming in. Gonna be shooting downtown, and is it gonna hit Kalita? We get the nice slow-mo cinematic shot of the Fireball. Man, it's always a bummer when like you have like these cool events and then with good games, but they're just kind of squandered by lag. It looks like the Fireball might be going after the Great Bows, actually. We get a chance to study this in this moment. But yeah, this would just be a replay, though, even if one of them crashed. If somebody crashes twice in a row and the game's like even or in the beginning, I usually will just give them a... So twice in a row would equal a loss, but one with an even battle like this would just be a restart. So that's what I would probably end up doing. Fireball's coming in, and it looks like Arkin is dropped in this game. Okay, so we're going to replay that, but if he drops again, he gets a loss, is basically how we're going to do that. Treachery indeed. They said they were having Steam issues too, so there's certainly some pretenses for that. Okay, so we will replay. If he drops again, he gets a game loss. Arrow can now pick. Cool, so Arrow's going to do his picks and bans, and we'll switch the maps. That's unfortunate, yeah, but people are having Steam issues today, so there's not much you can do about it. Probably Steam. So for the map, we'll do Sword of Torgalds for our next one. And honestly, based on the army compositions, I don't know. I would say it was pretty even. We can do that or repick. Let me go ahead and Discord. Cool. So I'm just going to check with the rules here real quick. So they're going to reboot here. One second, guys. Cool. So we're going to redo it with the same armies, the same matchup. And we'll switch the map just to add some spice. I didn't like that map, actually. So we'll do this one, which is relatively similar. Okay, so same armies. Oh, not the team. Same armies. And we will do this map as that one had some issues. Cool. And we're all good. All right, let's get the show on the road. So yeah, they do know that we're going to end up doing the same armies. I think that's what both players were saying they were used to. So it's kind of like up to the discretion of the the tournament admins and things like that. But yeah, we'll see. So they have to pick the exact same armies, which they both now have information on one another, but neither of them really have Vanguard or any positional stuff. So they're both ready. We're on Sword of Torvald this time, which has adequate line of sight blocking as well, but it doesn't, like, what I didn't like about Ashenhall is one army starts on the low ground, not Ashenhall, the map we just did, and one of the armies, like, there's some weird terrain that you can, like, abuse and, like, basically line camp on, but you're not line camping, and I feel like those type of things, unless you have to make, like, a risky move to get to it, is kind of, like, detrimental. So we're going to do Sword of Torvald. Players are fine with the map. We'll do it to it. Both players are going to get more attempts to overcast and shoot fireballs and things like that. So if a player does drop twice in a row, then obviously they get a game loss, and then we can move on to the next match. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that, because Steam is acting up for some folks today. Arrow mentioned he was having problems. Arrow did crash, but it was just before the game started. So, well, there's no point because they both know what's coming. Yeah, same races, same armies. It's the exact same, and I'll double check too. Yep, we got Khalida, we got the Lich with the scroll, we have the Ushapti Grapos, we have the Sphinx Scorpions, same composition with one halberd. Looks fine to me. And for Arrow's army, he should have two Chosen. He's got Chosen. He does also have the Chaos Marauders, the Mirror Guard, Shaggoth, Arkin with the same kit of spells and Slayer of Kings and two Chariots. Yeah, armies are exact same. So, all good in the hood. So here we are, guys. Round 2. So guys, thank you so much for your patience today. Hopefully we'll get a good best of 5 series here without any issues. Of course, Steam just randomly decides to be a piece of shit while we're streaming our tournaments, but that is the nature of the beast. So Ushapti Grapos is going to be taking up probably pretty much the exact same position. As far as this map goes, pretty much the same distance. If anything, maybe it's a little bit closer quarters, but Ushapti Grapos don't have like great cannon range, so it doesn't really matter. Like, they're going to start shooting when you get to this point. It's not like a cannon where you could reap more of a benefit from having a bigger map. Good luck, have fun. Yeah, it doesn't appear to be any lag. But again, if a player does lag again, then so be it. So be it indeed. And we'll see if the dreaded Khalida. I saw a donation coming in for Khalida. Thank you, man, for that. Appreciate it. I'll make sure to check it after this. The battle will be underway here in just a moment. I really like the Chariot pick. And I've noticed Arrow making like Chariots work in matchups in which you think they wouldn't be super good. And I actually also had a couple people asking about line camping. So what line camping is basically, in campaign, you'll probably see this on a lot of campaign YouTubers and content creators. When they're playing against AI, they cheese the AI by deploying their entire army in a corner like this, which then makes it so, there's no flanks, like, because you can't move outside of the white line. So basically it takes away all the angles of attack. So for some factions or missile factions or defensive factions, it's really powerful. So basically in multiplayer, you need to have enough space between your army and the white line that your opponent can comfortably move troops. Now that is up to my discretion, of course, but for the most part, it is what it is. So Chaos is going to be coming here, and this is actually a decent little position for Chaos because they have a natural ravine here. So if you look, Aerocrastic can actually use this this kind of tree line here to position his chariots and hide them while his main force advances. So he can hide Arkin here, he can hide his Shaggots while his infantry advance, and then when the main fighting starts, he can charge them up. So certainly has some nice tools here. The ravine, of course, is a good natural line of sight blocker, and you can see Arrow is going to be parking his chariots right behind that, which is a very smart play. And Arkin might pop his head up to drop a fireball. Obviously, the Spirit Leech can be overcasted and doesn't need line of sight, but we don't know what the Winds of Magic situation looks like for these players. So they might be relatively low on Winds of Magic, and yeah, we'll see. So Arkin's coming up. Marauders and company pushing in as well. Chosen are going to be the first to battle. Arkin looks like he's going to come in for a fireball, which is not a bad idea. I wonder if he'll snipe the Lich Priest. I probably would. Like, Kalida's going to be a little bit harder. She's faster and can juke easier, but the Lich Priest is also a smaller target. So Arkin's going to be juking here because Great Bow Fire is coming in. So you can see Arrow, of course, a very, very savvy tournament player, is going to be able to dodge that fire. And again, there's a little ravine here. The peasants have dug trenches for all the different Norskin monsters that have sieged this land. So Arrow is able to use that ravine relatively happily while advancing his forces out. So now he's going to be able to get a square engagement and pretty close quarters. Great Bows are now in range, so they can start shooting. Shooting at Chosen is a great choice, so good targeting there from the Tomb Kings. And I think he realizes that, excuse me, that Arkin can juke pretty well. So Arkin can pull back and forth, and I think Arrow's going to be pretty on top of that. I don't think he's going to let Arkin take too much damage outside of Spirit Leeches and things like that. So here comes the main force. Fireball going down from Arkin, Never Chosen. Looks like, I couldn't see if he was targeting the Lich Priest or Kalida. It looks like actually Kalida. And Kalida is weak to fire too, so this is actually going to hurt if it hits her. Here comes, juking in, and it misses. A little bit of collateral damage. Nice move right there. Able to dodge with Kalida at the last moment. And yeah, here they come. So Chaos Chariots coming in. Dragon Ogre Shaggoths as well. And the main battle's going to be underway. So Chariots screaming into the front line. These Tomb Guard obviously don't have charge defense, I don't think. So they're going to take some heavy damage from the Chariots. The initial impacts, cleaving through, doing some substantial damage. Kalida's going to be charging the Chaos Chariots, but Arrow he does this against me all the time when we play. He like pulls the Chariots through the front and then goes out through the flank, and it's actually relatively tough to deal with. The Tomb King's lines are going to get taken out pretty quick. Tomb Guard will lose the Mirror Guard as well as Chosen. Granted, there are some monstrous units, but so far Arrow with his Chariots has just been going balls deep in this formation, doing so much work. A Burning Head coming down, brutal stuff, and those Tomb Guard just getting absolutely eviscerated. And now it looks like these Dragon Ogre Shaggoths are going to be marching on the Great Bows. Now, Great Bows have done some decent damage. Arrow has some Marauders he hopefully doesn't forget about. But Arkin's being very conservative. I think he doesn't want to get Arkin gooned because that would be pretty catastrophic. And the Great Bows here are in combat with Shaggoths, taking some heavy damage for sure. Now the Great Sphinx is coming as well. Shaggoth's going to pull back, being a little bit quicker, but Arrow has really been tearing through the lines with his Chariots, just causing massive disruption. And as a matter of fact, you can use them even to shut down the Great Bows and other tools like this. Arkin in combat now with the Sphinx. And you can see the Tomb King's lines are kind of getting crumbs across the board. Now, as far as the main battle goes, though, it's still really even. And a lot of this battle does come down to the monsters fight. Spirit Leech going down on Arkin, but the Shaggoths are now engaging here, trying to go after the Sphinx. And the Chosen, yeah, it's only a matter of time before the Chosen get through the front line. They're just a vastly superior unit to the, these Tomb Guard and things like that, which, aren't terrible. But now, one thing that could lose Aerocrastic the game is if Arkin gets kind of gooned out here and just gets taken out by the Sphinx and some of these other troops. That could be pretty catastrophic. So if he's careful with Arkin, gets him away, he should be in okay shape, because eventually the Tomb Kings will pretty much lose all of their supporting elements. Great Bows being tied up by Chariots is a nice play as well. But now we have a Monster Mash, and it looks like here Arrow is getting his 2 Shaggoths and is beating down the Tomb Scorpion, opting not to go for the Sphinx, knowing it's probably a bigger target. Instead, just trying to get rid of the goodies here. So it looks like there's going to be a Burning Head coming in. It's going to be like a okay one. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. It hit the Halberds. It's probably going to finish off these Tomb Guard as well. One Shaggoth took a huge beating. Tomb Scorpion's actually crumbling as well. The other Chariot in the back still tying down the Shopka Great Bow, and the Chosen, they're about to get through the front line. Arkin coming in with the rear charge should be able to break that. So Arrow needs to be careful for sure with the Shaggoth. But, I mean, a 2v1 fight here, that was a really nice hard switch. So basically he now has like a natural surround. Ushapti Summon is going to be going down from Arkin, which is going to be a good play. It's going to give some meat to this fight to make sure that the Sphinx doesn't just get karate chopped. But it looks like Arrow's pulling ahead pretty hard on the bounce. He has Slayer of Kings active, so Arkin has freaking 926 damage on Arkin. He just is hitting like an absolute raid boss, and you can see the damage on the Sphinx is just devastating. I think this is going to be a relatively, not quick game per se, but a relatively, expeditious. I guess that means the same thing. But it looks like Chaos is in good shape here. The Sphinx is down. The Ushapti Summon's on the field. The Shaggoth is broken, but that's a more than worth it trade. And the other Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is in great shape. The Chaos Infantry are winning all the fights. And you can see the bounce of power is rapidly switching to reflect that. And man, it's really cool to see Arkin be used well in competitive play. For the longest time, he was just a meme, but he's doing great work. Mirror Guard fighting here, and you can see the Ever Chosen drifting around here, and now he's basically going to be going back here to pressure the Ushapi Great Bows, which is a great choice. He's fast, he has great AP, and all you need is a Shaggoth to fight Khalida. You don't need more. You like just send Arkin back here so he's not being shot. Standard Ground is activated, melee defense and leadership. All those good things are going down. Balance of Power is starting to become pretty chaos favored here in this situation. And the Ushabti are taking a lot of damage. Khalida actually surging forward, trying to get on Arkin, but Cascading Fire Cloak is popped. Oh, Khalida gets countercharged by the Ever Chosen, as well as the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and man, Khalida is going to get taken to Pound Town. Great Bows are pushing in now, but she is in the wrong neighborhood. I mean, he's Lord of the End Times. She's just some random lord, basically. Nefera's Scroll of the Mighty going down, Spirit Leech being dropped on Arkin, which is a good play, but I think Chaos just has too much left. Like, even if Arkin were to fall to Khalida, which is possible. Ooh, oh, never mind. That was a big charge. Arkin just going in deep. 430 right here. Is he going to be able to finish off High Queen Khalida? Maybe. Here comes the Ever Chosen. Is the Snake Lady going to fall? Oh, and the Shaggoth clubs her off the snake. Down she goes with a 1-2 punch. And the Lord of the End Times holds firm with 4 leadership and 150 HP. And yeah, that's going to be game. So game 1, a rather quick game, is going to be going to our good pal Aerocrastic. So the Ever Chosen champion showing why he was an Ever Chosen champion with a very quick, I guess that was like a 7 or 8 minute game. So it was a contested game, but a solid victory. The Shaggoth play, his timings with the single entities were so good. His Archeon with 900 weapon strength. And that's the really hard thing to do. Making sure that those like activatable items are used in an opportune time. It really takes massive skill for sure. And he was able to get that. But well played to both players. Indeed. I liked Arkin's build. The only thing I didn't like was Khalida. Aside from that, I think it was a very, very good build. But that is that. So now let us go here. Oh, and we're going to switch maps. And we are going to go to... let's see. What map do we want to do? Let's pick a good map. Let's do the... we already did Troll Country, which is one of my favorites. I just love doing that one over and over. And Amber Bow is actually kind of a cool map too. So for the next map, we'll do Castle Drakenhof. Yes. GG, guys. So the map, please. It's going to be Castle Drakenhof for the second map here. The snakes just ran away afterwards. It's like, screw this shit. I don't get paid enough. I don't get paid enough for this. And thank you guys for sticking around despite the lag. Hopefully this this glorious series here will be your a satisfactory reward. So we have a donation coming in, a couple that I missed during the game from Borakum for the $5. He says, always happy when I catch a live stream. Keep doing your thing. I will, man. Appreciate your support. Good to have you here. And Ozkirk, thank you for the $10. Thanks for all the great streams. You're doing a great job. Appreciate it. And then Simuli donating $2 for Khalida. Well, we got to see Khalida. She tried so hard, got so far, but in the end, she was slayed by the Lord of the End Times. So Aerocrastic's going Empire, and he's banning Vampire Counts. Smart. Banning Arkin strong factions when he's on the ropes. That's a good play right there. Plus, it's a Vampire Count map, so we'll see what Arkin brings here. I'm going to get some water and use the restroom, guys. Be right back. All right, guys, one last second here. Oh, look at that, and he picks Vampire Coast. Interesting. Interesting. I'm shocked by that. The Empire is, I mean, but again, Arkin's, I think, just exploring his options. I don't think he picked Coast yet. All right, let me grab a water. Still streaming, darling. Love you. All right, I return. Got my water. I'm ready to go. Hydro homies, assemble. He's gonna go Dark Elves. That's a smart pick. Dark Elves have a, I think it's an even matchup actually. It's an even matchup. He fears Helm and Gore, so he had to ban him. Yeah. Oh, Pillar of Bone. The Pillar of Bone is a good one. Yeah, that's actually probably the next map I'll do. Lady Turin coming in, dropping the thunder here. I love it. You know, Falcon, I'm looking at the list of maps. I think the last one we just played, the Ash Plains, I don't think it's very good. We might want to put that one down to, like, not ideal. I think it has some unfair advantages for one side. Nonetheless, the people continue to battle. We strive forward. I was hoping versus an Empire versus Vampire shootout. Yeah, it's always a fun matchup. The amount of likes is pretty flaccid. Oh my god. Maddie Karika, thank you for becoming a sponsor. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. We go forward. Arkin is ready. Aerocrasic up 1-0 in this best of 5, so obviously he needs to attain 3 wins. As does Arkin the Black. If he wants to swing this one back, he's going to have to win a couple in a row. But certainly very possible for these high-level players here. I think Arrow has played against Arkin a fair amount in tournaments, so I think he is somewhat privy to his playstyle. But again, that goes both directions. Please don't explode. It's like a sparkly water, so I'm like... I can't tell you how many keyboards I've almost destroyed with sparkly water. It's just like blowing up in my face when I just open them when I'm half awake. Always a good time. Always a good time indeed. Tower of Oath is another good one. Yeah, that's good. Gift members. So how does... Okay, so can you guys explain this to me? On Twitch, I see this all the time. Where it's like, people gift subscribers. Like, how does that work? Like, you can't just do that, right? Like, that just seems weird. Like, you just like have people who subscribe to you and then like a creator just gives them to another channel. Like, how does that even work? I don't know. I'm probably totally like, I don't know anything about Twitch, really. So I'm like the old YouTube fogey. You guys will have to let me know how it works. YouTube does need to step up its game with streaming, though, in terms of like interaction and features. Like, if it wants to compete, I mean, it has all the tools to compete with Twitch. It has like massive viewer base for sure, but I don't know. So the map's loading in here. Yeah, Falcon, sounds good, man. That because yeah, the one faction starts on the low ground. You just pay for someone's sub for a month. Oh, okay. So basically, like, if... Oh. Okay. Thank you for answering. I'm just like, I feel like a... I feel like a plebe. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the armies here. So for Arkin the Black, and it's funny, I noticed this kind of with him. With High Elves, he used the whole front line of White Lions. With Dark Elves, whole front line of Corsairs. When he played with a Vampire account game I watched earlier, it was like 4 Sirens. You know, he really likes to use these kind of like mid-tier infantry. So he's got a bunch of Corsairs, which again are good against state troops. They can defeat most state troops. A couple of groups of, Knights of the Ebon Claw. So he does have these elite ROR, the Dread Knights. Man, gonna be fun to see them in action. 2 Bolt Throwers to counterplay Empire Artillery as well as Empire Heavy Cav. Cold Knights in the back, and up in the sky we do have a Supreme Sorceress of Death, which is a pretty standard pick. So also some Witch Elves for Rampage. You always want to have Rampage in your army as Dark Elves, in my opinion. And wow, they got ready really quick. Spearmen, Flagellants in the front line. So Flagellants are ready to go to battle for Sigmar. He does also have a Jade Wizard. Knights of the Blazing Sun. Big old Franzi boy up in the sky. And Franz is always ready to just go to Pound Town. Reichsguard Knights, Royal Outdoor Griffites, and a pretty good Skirmishing Corps, actually. Pistoliers, which is... Arkin doesn't have too many good answers for the Pistoliers. Like, they can kite the cab units. They can, like, put backline pressure. Like, once the Cold Knights are forced to fight, like, the Empire Knights... The Pistoliers can basically just ransack the back line and go after those bolt throwers. Now, it looks like Arrow, instead of taking a head-on engagement, is going the wide kind of circuitous route. So he's opting to go this way, maybe thinking it'll minimize some of the fire coming in, which it probably will for his artillery. But again, the Flagellants and Spearmen are taking some fire from the spread fire variants there on these bad boys. Some good water. Quite sparkly. Supreme Sorceress of Death looking for some targets. She could go after Franz, but again, he can just be healed. I would imagine Spirit Leech will be used in a more opportune moment. Probably just spamming it on the Royal Outdoor Griffites is your best bet. Man, look at the really good dodges by Arrow. He's able to just juke those shots with the Pistoliers. And now he's going to put pressure on from so many angles. He might even take one group of Pistoliers and like weave through this opening and then just collapse on the bolt throwers. I'm not really sure what he intends to do with those, but nonetheless, Pistoliers are shooting in. Some of them going after Witch Elves, and Witch Elves are like the choicest of targets for Pistoliers. Lightly armored, you can kite them, and yeah, it's a great situation. Now, if he gets caught in like a rampage with a miss micro, it could be problematic, but I don't think Arrow is going to slip up here. His micro seems very, very on point based on what I saw last game. So the Corsairs are surging forward, Empire Heavy Cav preparing to do some cycle charging here into the Black Art Corsairs in the front line, and the Sons of Sigmar and the State Troops forming a bit of a bastion here. So here comes the first charges, Griffites hammering into these forces, just doing brutal damage to the Corsairs, and pulling back before any substantial damage is done. The Pistoliers are just going to be working the flank, probably just poking down the Witch Elves, which is just masterclass stuff, good target priority. And if the Cold Blood Knights overextend chasing the Pistoliers here, then suddenly Aerocrastic can rotate with his Griffites and his other troops and take a fight. Granted, I probably wouldn't, not until the Witch Elves are done, because a single Rampage can basically just lose you the game outright. Corsairs now fighting Flagellants in the front. You can see it's going to be a messy affair. We have Witch Elves fighting Flagellants, which is just naked dudes versus naked ladies. Royal Outdwarf Griffites getting a Spirit Leech, but they do slam into those Black Art Corsairs. But oh man, if they get Rampage, that could be really bad. Franz going in, actually. A really aggressive charge by Franz. Very, very dangerous stuff. Actually going after the Cold Blood Knights. And it looks like, oh man, I was going to say Arkin's going in for that fight. That would be very, very dangerous. So far, the Empire is kind of falling back upon its wall here of infantry, Sigmar Sons and Flagellants and Unbreakable Troops. And now there's going to be a big blob fight. So basically, this is where Franz shines. He comes in, he pops the Reikland Runefang, I would imagine he does have that, and suddenly these Empire Cav are just going to be taking the Cold Blood Knights to town pretty hard. Over here, the Pistoliers, oh, these are actually Outriders with grenade launchers. Interesting stuff. Looks like they're going to be falling back as some Cold Blood Knights do weave through the center of the formation, but it looks like Franz and company are able to decisively win this engagement over here as they just crush the Witch Elves, crush the Black Art Corsairs, and push back the Cold Blood Knights. Now another group of Cold Blood Knights is coming in, but Arrow is going to be charging in with the Reiksguard Knights, so they intercept, and the Demogryph Knights, and just having Franz in this Cav battle is so decisive, especially with healing versus a single Spirit Leech, and also the Pistoliers are shooting in and just picking off Cold Blood Knights as they continue to fight. Grenade launcher shooting in, and the infantry fight is a bit of a wash. For the most part, Sigmar Sons are fighting Black Art Corsairs, Flagellants fighting Corsairs. It's a bit of an even fight. Now, what would be really nice for Arrow is if he could get the Pistoliers and go up and around and kill both these bolt throwers, that would basically probably seal the deal. Now, as far as Arkin goes, if he can grind this game out and go longer and longer, those bolt throwers will eventually start to pick off the elite Empire Cav. As a matter of fact, you can see the Griffites are wavering here. They have 5 leadership. So there's certainly opportunities for both players. A little bit of a slip up here. Some Pistoliers do get caught in a charge by the Knights of the Ebon Claw, and that's also a pretty scary thing for Arrow, is the fact that Arkin still has the Knights of the Ebon Claw here, and oh man, he's fighting really close to the edge of the map, which means his Pistoliers may just get chased off the map here, which would be quite punishing. Although Franz is doing great, you can see in the pits, Franz and company and the Griffites still have 13 of 24 models, a fair amount of spears. Probably going to try and crump these Witch Elves really quick, just to free it up. But now comes the counterpunch here from Arkin's army. The Coldland Dread Knights and these other forces are going to be coming back in here, and Arrow needs to get out ASAP for sure. And hopefully nothing that is of high value to him gets rampaged. Although it looks like he's going to take the fight, which maybe if Franz has like Galmaraz or some other things off cooldown, maybe here. The Griffites are just so beat up at this point, and also the Bolt Throwers are shooting in and doing some substantial damage as well. In the meantime, the Supreme Sorceress is going to be going after the Jade Wizard, which is a good call. And does the Empire have any state troops left? It looks like more Dark Elf units are coming in, and suddenly it looks like this is going to be a bit of an even game, like just down to the wire. There are some state troops coming back over here. Pistoliers still unleashing fire. Franz is going to have to put this game on his back now, because his supporting elements are mostly gone. But if he can get up in the sky and start punishing some of the characters here, maybe go after the Sorceress, or maybe even go back here and finish off the Bolt Throwers. But the thing about going after the Bolt Throwers, the issue with that being is that if he goes there, then the crews will just run, and the rest of his forces will basically just be picked apart. Now, he still does have some ammo here. Franz basically probably going to be waiting for a Spearman to come back, and you can see the Bounce Fire is Dark Elf favored right now. So very, very hotly contested game here. As Witch Elves now rush in, Arrow sends in his Spearmen to fight, which are not going to have a good time here. And unless Franz makes some big plays or can get some big terror outs, it's going to be a pretty rough one. Pistoliers charging into combat. Jade Wizard may come back. We do have Sigmar Sons over here as well, but like I said, if the game goes long, those Bolt Throwers are going to be the difference maker. So the Witch Elves could be terror routed. They are discouraged by the Blood Roar. Franz has Galmaraz pop, so if Galmaraz can crack the skull of the Supreme Sorceress, that could be quite nice. And Reikland Runefang also giving combat stats here to the Spearmen, allowing them to fight a little bit longer. So Pistoliers also have the Runefang as well. And the Dark Elves in a bit of an exodus here, though. You can see a lot of their troops are running, but the Dread Knights are going to be the biggest issue. Those things are just like meaty. Great combat stats, very, very powerful, and will not go quietly into this good night. But if Franz can finish off the Dread Knights with his Spearmen, maybe, although he's taking an absolute pounding there from that Bolt Thrower. The Bolt Thrower's in the back just doing so much work. And really, it's kind of like incremental value, and that's going to be Game 2. So guys, we got a match on our hands. Arkin is able to take Game 2 here in this best of 5, and now we have a rumble in the jungle. Yeah, the Bolt Throwers were the MVPs. I think Arrow had the early game, but Arkin really grinded it out and came back there in the end, and there you go. That is 1-1. That is 1-1. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump to the next match. We've got to give the players the next map. We'll see how each player responds in the face of adversity. We're going to do Eschen next. GG being said by both players. Much appreciated, of course. And Eschen is going to be our next map. Oh no, the bots are back! Slay them all! Slay them all! Oh man, that was a battle. That was a scrappy one. Franz almost carried, but the bolt throwers at the end did so much damage to him. I think that was a big part of it. The bolt throwers just really hammering him in the back here. So now it's on to Arkin's pick and ban. And he's going to go Vampires, which is to no surprise. And it's also smart because Arrow just played Empire, which is a counter to Vampires. So Arrow can't play them again. That was very, very clever for sure. 1-1 here in the series in this best of 5. And let us see what they bring forth. Who shall win this day? The lady watches. Yes, she does. You guys want bloated corpses? Yeah, the Corsairs did pretty well, actually. Yeah, the Dread Knights, though, were like this looming presence that just nobody wanted to deal with, for sure. Arrow's catfights were good, but I guess the Dread Knights were... And the Corsairs also did pretty well, believe it or not. Yeah. Very unorthodox, for sure, his builds. So it looks like there's going to be a Vampires pick from Arkin. I think Arrow is kind of scheming on his picks right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at chat and see what they're saying. He picks Coast, and he gets a ban. Maybe he's going to ban Skaven, actually. That would be decent. I think Arrow is pretty capable of playing all the elves, including Dark Elves, so I think we might see an elf, a Dark Elf pick from Arrow Crosstick. And he bans High Elves, actually. So yeah, High Elves can do well there, too. They have tons of archers, and they're, AP archers, too, so... My guess would be... Oh my god, he's going Dwarves! Oh! Satisfy the grudge! They've wronged us! Alright, this is going to be interesting. I am very excited. This is a super hard matchup for Coast, in my opinion. Yeah, this is good. Oh, guys, we got a Dwarf matchup. Oh, yes. Lady turns immune to psychology. She is. Yeah, had the Bolt Throwers been killed earlier with like one loose Pistolier unit, I think that Arrow probably would have been able to take that with Franz at the end. But Franz took literally like 40% HP damage from like those final Bolt Thrower shots. So 1-1 here, Arrow on the Dwarves. Grudges to be satisfied, my friends. So the players are picking their armies. And good luck, have fun. I have a build against Dwarves that I've had pretty good success with Coast, but it's still very hard to pull off. High Elves actually have some decent tools against Coast. But yeah, I would have banned something else probably as well. Will pigs make an appearance, says Loopy? I'm not sure. I think we saw some piggies earlier, but not in the final so far. Gyrocopters? I don't think so. I think we're going to see like a ton of Bugman's Rangers and like just Longbeards. And then like maybe like... I mean, Arrow could even go with the Grombrindle, Gotrek, Thorgrim Death Star too. I mean, there's a lot of ways to play this for Jawi. I think Jawi have a slight advantage here, but it's not to say that it's someone who specializes in a faction can't beat them. That's the thing. Like, there's only a couple matchups which I feel like are really oppressive, that like you just have to be like, either much better than your opponent but like in general, that's what's so cool about Total War Warhammer is like, yeah, there's some bad matchups that are like 60-40s, but in the hands of someone who like specializes in a respective faction, they can still win those. Like some of the really oppressive ones I think are like Bretonnia versus Lizardmen. It's so hard to win that one. And I've heard that from countless tournament players who main both factions. They're like, please don't make me play that matchup. We have a donation coming in. Thank you so much, Sofa Muncher, for the Karazhan Core. Kazook! Thanks for the donation, man. Get that dwarf hype going. Pump those dwarven legs. And quick question here. He's Arkin the Black is singing the lyrics to Paint It Black. That's pretty funny. All right, so Arrow, what do you got here? I'm really curious to see what Arkin brings here. I'm really curious. Now, a couple ways you can play it is you can basically spam like 4 Carronades and just spread them out around the map and play that way, or you can like bum rush them with Morngulls and like dogs swarming everywhere. Like there's a couple ways you can play it. I'm just trying to make sure that...
I'm coming. I'm coming to fulfill the promise of 400 likes.
Oh, we got 400 likes? That's great,
yeah,
baby.
400 likes. Oh, I know that's great. Well, firm your buttocks.
Oh no, what's happening? Oh no, violation. And here we go, guys. The good luck charm sent my way.
That butt.
All's dobrze.
You want anything?
I'm good, baby. Thank you. Eschen is certainly a good map as well. Hang on one sec, guys. Just adjusting my desk here. Still takes some getting used to, the standing desk. One sec, guys. Did I update the score? I did, right? Yes. We're all set. I was attacked in a decent way. All right, guys. So Eschen is here. Pretty good open field opportunities. Again, it's good for both Dwarves and Vampire Coast. And now the battle's pretty much underway. So we have the Vampire Coast army. What is this? Sirens? I mean, Sirens do have good AP, but they also do magic damage. So there's kind of a dual purpose. Like, yes, they have good AP against Dwarves, and they're tough to kill, but they also are going to be not hitting that hard against Dwarves. Very interesting pick for sure. We got Zombie Power Deck Mob, Sirens back here. So he's going for instead of going for the range trade, he's going for the Bum Rush. So he's got 4 Morngulls back here. 2 Fellbats to counter Gyrocopters. He does also have 1 Carronade, it looks like. Just 1 Wild Carronade pick. A Vampire Fleet Admiral on a Crab, and that is it. So Sirens against Dwarves. This is most certainly some off-meta stuff. Now, as far as the faction, not faction of the Dwarves go, we got Longbeards in the front line, a massive amount of Quarrelers. I would imagine some Bugman's Rangers back here as well. Actually, just Quarrelers, which, you know, they do their part. A couple Slayers as well to fight Morngul rushes, which is really good. So Arrow's army is very well developed for this. Now, the one issue it might have is actually maybe the Sirens, but no, he has Grombrindle. Okay, so Grombrindle and Gotrek are here as well. So the Dwarven tag team is going straight up to WWE, going to be dropping the Dwarven elbow on those Sirens. But Grombrindle does do magic damage, which gives him a huge boon against the Sirens, because otherwise it'd be a pain in the butt. Yeah, this army is like really good. It has answers for most of what Arkin has. Now, if Arkin's able to get some good timing pushes with his like dogs and bats and shut down the bows, that could really change the whole flow of the game. So it's certainly winnable for both players. But a great counter pick, to say the least. I think the dwarf pick here was really, really strong. So the Carronade shooting into the Longbeards, and what's nice for Arkin is, since he brought a single cannon, it's going to force Arrow out. Like, Arrow can't sit up here in a very comfortable tree line, which would be very nice against the Morgulls. He actually has to take the initiative and push in. So if you look at it from a big overhead perspective, Arrow's going to have to charge right down the pipe, which opens up the flanks here. So both flanks can basically be, it's going to, in a way, allow him to be somewhat surrounded. If Sirens can start fighting Slayers, that's also a pretty good situation, but nonetheless, Longbeards, Dwarves, like, the Dwarven Lords and characters are going to be so tough to kill. Like, the Morgulls really need to do the heavy lifting against, like, Gotrek and Grombrindle, which isn't great for them either. Morgulls will just get chopped down by those Dwarven axes. So Arrow, a very patient push, just methodical, slow push, taking the cannon fire like a champ. Obviously wants to just make his way towards the Carronade here. There are 2 Carronades. Yeah, there's 2 of them, actually, so they're going to be doing some okay damage. Queen Bess would have been really strong here too, but Queen Bess is risky because if the dwarves go with the cannon build themselves, Queen Bess basically just gets destroyed by the dwarven cannons and you lose the game. But I guess the Carronades are the safer pick. They're a little bit harder to snipe than Queen Bess because they're smaller. So I would imagine the Quarrel's going to be opening up shop. Arrow must be expecting some flank pressure. I mean, he has adequate defenses though, for sure. He has Slayers kind of intertwined in his back line. What would be optimal for Arkin though would be to get the Sirens fighting the Slayers. That would be really nice for him. Quarreler shooting in, going to be going in, and now you can see the Vampire Coast is going to be springing its trap. So the Sirens are visible. What I would probably do maybe is like pull some Longbeards back here to kind of target those guys. But it looks like Gotrek's going to go back with some Slayers, and Grombrindle's just going to be fighting on the other side. Like, if you just have Grombrindle sit on the Sirens, he should be able to kill them. So now the firepower is underway. The Quarreler's shooting into the zombie lines, and there's also some blasting charges going down. So you can see the zombie power deckhand mobs just getting absolutely murked by the dwarven front line. Blasting charges do a lot against light armor, and you can see it's really, really showing here. So the archers are shooting into the Carronade, so 1 Carronade probably going to be going down. We do have the Crab Master charging in, the Vampire Fleet Admiral. There's a lot of Sirens actually to deal with. Arrow tightening up his formation a little bit. And yeah, you can see now all the pressure comes in. And there's a lot to deal with here. This Carronade is crumbling, negative 46, so maybe he's going to kind of ignore it at this point. But yeah, Sirens are coming from all directions, and Quarrelers are unfortunately going to be sent into combat. Nice summon there by Arkin, able to target a couple of missile units. And here comes the big crash. So Morgul's charging in, but the Slayers get a nice counter charge as well. So Slayers will be able to chop down these Morgulls relatively efficiently, and they also get caught in a flash bomb. So these Morgulls are slow, their melee defense is lowered, so that's actually a pretty nice little catch right there as the Slayers do chop away at their heels. In the front line, Miners fighting zombies. Carronade back here is still crumbling. Looks like Arkin is actually going to opt to use an Invocation back there, which is a bit of a ballsy play, because Invo obviously could be a little bit more probably efficient used on like Morgulls and expensive units, but the Carronade will hold. Dragonback Slayer's going to be trying to get away from the Siren rush in the back line, so Siren's swarming from all directions, and as a matter of fact, I saw a replay between Arkin and Zyphos earlier in which he brought 4 Sirens against Dark Elves, and it was pretty strong, actually. So here in the front, You can see the Morgels are getting chopped. I hear the tea kettle going ham in the kitchen. Anna must be making some tea. But yeah, so far it's a pretty even battle. Here in the back line, you can see Sirens are engaged in combat, and it's going to be a grind. I mean, their damage output isn't insane, and taking a 25% penalty on top of that is going to be pretty grindy. Some of the Morgels here, it's a very, very messy fight, are quite beat up, and the Dwarves seem to be enduring. Zombies are being forced back, and these Felbats are actually chasing off miners, which is interesting. And if they don't fully chase off the miners could actually go over here and maybe finish off the Carronades. Carronades are still shooting, but it seems like the Dwarven lines are holding. Sirens here getting worn down by Slayers and Longbeards, it looks like, and over here the Sirens are in crumbling shape. I think Grombrindle is just doing a lot of work. Now here in the center, another Crab Summon. It looks like the Dragonback Slayers and Grombrindle are going in for the kill after the Crab Lord. The White Dwarf looking to avenge 1,000 grudges, although I don't see the Vampire Coast like grudging the Dwarves too much, but probably happens occasionally. Maybe they steal something from a Dwarven hold or raid it. Dwarves aren't really coastal people. They're more mountain people, so probably not too much animosity between these two folks. Over here, some nice play here. Some of the Quarlers being chased off by Felbats. You can see Arkin being very patient, making sure not to send in the Felbats into this blob, just using them to chase off like anything that separates from the Dwarven army, which is quite valuable for sure. Sirens in the back being worn down. These ones are crumbling. Of course, Grombrindle's magic damage doing quite a bit of work, and the Slayers were able to get some damage here on the Vampire Fleet Admiral, but for the most part, it's in okay shape. And the Morgels are also in good shape. This is a little bit scary for Arrow. He does have Morgels here and Morgels here, so those two could be a huge threat to the Dwarves as this battle progresses. And really nice Invocation. That's going to be a huge, huge buff right there. These are already very tough units to kill. Grombrindle pretty much has to do it, and getting an Invo to make it that much harder is very, very solid. And also something else that's a little bit troubling for the Dwarves is the fact that the Carronades are still online. There's two of them firing, and Dwarves aren't great at like pressuring those type of pieces, so that's going to be tough. But the battle's like dead even, guys. Slayers are in great shape, though. This is actually really rough for Arkin. The Opal Amulet is popped, but having the Dragonback Slayers just stick on this crab is very, very painful. And, honestly, what wouldn't be a bad idea if I were Arrow is I'd maybe grab those Slayers and just go after the Carronades. Use them as, like, cav units. I mean, he might send Felbats after the Slayers then at that point, which could be a little bit scary. So I perhaps think that might be why he's not doing that. So Bats are going to be coming in, engaging against the Slayers, which is a smart play. It's going to really target the Slayers and allow the Crabcaster to escape. A lot of the Dwarven Rangers are back online, shooting once again into the Morgels. Bounce Power is still dead even, just an absolute nail-biter of a game. You have some Longbeards fighting against Sirens over here, which is just the ultimate wet noodle contest. And where's Gotrek? Gotrek is still here, so he's basically the Church of Gotrek, as Hadrius has coined it. He's sitting here and just basically chopping down Morgels. I mean, even with everything said and done, killing Grombrindle plus Gotrek is going to be super difficult for this Vampire Coast army. Granted, if the Carronades are still functional in that late game, that could be pretty potent, to say the least. Miners, the blasting charges are routing. If they do come back, they can maybe go over here. It looks like Arkin is committing pretty much to the final battle. You can see the Morgels are pushing in. Quarlers are really tanky, though. These guys are basically like Dwarf Warriors. They have, 28 melee defense, which isn't bad. And the Dwarven heroes are, going after the monsters, and they're burning through the witches, and the Dwarf infantry is not going anywhere. These guys are just absolute anchors. Here comes Grombrindle with the overhand right, taking out that Morgel, just absolutely chopping him down. And the Morgels are crumbling. They're down to 6. And, Dwarves are running, though, in many areas. The Quarlers are starting to get worn down. Longbeard's still fighting. And the Cannons could be the X Factor, just like in the last game. Oh, but look at this. You have some Longbeards pushing in, and if the Longbeards can shut down that Carronade, that's a huge win. That would, as a matter of fact, probably give Arrow the lead in this game. They're very low in leadership, though. Like, very, very bad shape. You can see they're at 0 right now, and yeah, they just get broken by the Felbats, which definitely a shame to their ancestors. These Slayers look to have finished off the Felbats that attacked them, so at this point, these Slayers probably could either rear charge the Morgels to try and finish them off or go after the Carronades. It really depends on what he thinks is their priority target to really take down. But ultimately, Grombrindle and Gotrek are going to be super, super difficult to kill. Some Quarlers coming back online. Dragonback Slayers surging in to finish off the Morgels, which is certainly going to be very nice. There's only 17 of them, but that's all it takes. Dwarves are a stalwart, powerful people, and they're going to be able to chop down these Morgels no problem. Here come Slayers as well, another group of Slayers. So yeah, the Morgels are probably mostly doomed, but it's a good play by Arkin, grabbing the Morgels and running away from the Slayers and trying to chase off this pocket of strength because, 28 missile units here is no joke. Now, Bounce of Power is slightly Dawi favored here. Arrow does have some miners that have come back, but the Vampire Coast is doing a good job using these Felbats to make sure the cannons don't get taken out. Slayers still have 16 models here, 10 models here. Zombies are a little bit low on model counts, to say the least. And we do have some Quarlers coming back online. If these Quarlers could actually be stabilized and start shooting at that Carronade again, that would actually be incredibly strong. Sirens back up on the high ground. Morgel's able to chase things off. It's a really close battle still, but those Dwarven characters are just linebackers. Especially Gotrek. He will not break. So these Quarlers going to be scooting up. It looks like the cannons are going after them, which is smart, because if the Dwarven Quarlers are taken out, it'll give the Vampire Coast much more freedom on the battlefield to pretty much attack weak points in the army and different things like that. Slayers, of course, in a very loose formation here, getting ready to party. So here comes Quarlers shooting into the backs of the Sirens, it looks like. We're at 14 leadership. These Quarrelers, I'm not sure where they're going. Maybe they're going to try and focus down the Crabmaster, but I think going after the Carronades is probably the right idea. Because once you do that, basically Arkin has to come fight you. Because in accordance with the rules of engagement, if the cannons are shooting, he's attacking. So Arkin can run with his whole army right now, which probably is the right idea. And he still is attacking with the Carronades. But if the Carronades are gone, then Arkin has to come in and fight the Slayers and your heroes and those other very powerful characters. So what Arkin will probably do here is bide his time and use his units here, like the Syrenes and the Morngulls, regroup all of those. And yeah, you can see Arkin's going to try and run with the Carronades, which is a good idea, but the zombies are very slow. Some factions like High Elves and Dark Elves can do this much better. Basically, you get the cannon crew and you run, which again is a great play, but the issue being with Vampire Coast is they're zombie crews, so they're very, very slow. Oh, a brutal cannon shot, just tearing right into those Quarrelers right there. Absolutely nasty stuff, but he needs to pressure these cannons, because again, if both cannons are shut down, then both players have to attack here. But this cannon has pretty good ammo. It's got 4 volleys left. In the distance, Morngulls are coming back in. The Crabcaster's coming in. It's going to be so hard to deal with Grombrindle. But, the one thing that Arkin has going for him is he has a ton of ammunition on this Vampire Admiral. So he can probably just sit and take pot shots at Grombrindle all day, which would be a very, very solid choice. So here come the Slayers. Cannonball shooting in. Yeah, going after Gromby. That's really, really nice. Solid. Slayers definitely want to chase down those Carronade crews. As a matter of fact, get 1 Slayer on each of those. There's no Vampire Coast supporting elements nearby, so I'd probably send 1 Slayer here and 1 here. Because Grombrindle needs to juke those shots. This Carronade needs to be put down 100%. And let's see if he splits up. It's a little bit risky. He's taking those shots in the back from the Vampire Fleet Admiral for sure. Gromby looks like he's going to be turning around and juking those shots. So yeah, Arrow dropping some mean jukes for sure. Morngul's coming in, chasing off the remnants of the Dwarven units there. And these this crew is just randomly crumbling, which is hilarious. So the other Carronade, he should probably go after it now. Because it's so damaged. And they're just definitely move towards that Carronade now. Gotrek might be able to solo all of this, but he needs to keep Gromby alive because Gromby has magic damage for the Syrenes, so it's pretty important here. And here comes the crew. The Carronade is going down, negative 39, 191, 180, crumbling very, very quickly, negative 66, and they just disintegrate because that's what happens when things get that beat up. So now the other Carronade is here, so I would imagine the Dwarves are just going to methodically go after that. He could even just send the Slayers after this Vampire Fleet Admiral, just let them take that beating. It would be a decent buffer, because if Gromby can run and, Gotrek and company, they need to shut down this Carronade. Granted, it's out of ammo. It has 1 shot left, so. All right, so basically, he still has ammo, though, is the thing. So he's going to be able to abuse that and shoot there with ammunition here on this crab. And the Dwarves are going to have to chase. But eventually, Gotrek will, the dues will have to be paid to Gotrek. But what I would probably do if I were Arrow is hide Grombrindle up in the trees here, away from this guy, and make him basically just use his ammo on other threats. Gotrek also has, a self-healing mechanism, which is pretty nasty. So, if he gets very low, he can heal up. And now you can see Arkin is going to be pulling his cannon crew here. He's going to be running over towards the Syrenes. The pistol's shooting, but the Slayers, this is their dream. They're like, yes, we get to go fight a monster and meet our doom. 1600 HP. He takes a couple attacks from the Slayers, loses about 40, 50 HP right there. And the Morngulls are now going to charge in. Slayers are pulling back. At this point in the game, everything matters. Every unit is clutch, right? So here comes Gotrek. He does not have the Rune Axe, so I don't believe he has the magic damage. Let me check this one. The Heroic Fortitude, yeah, that's the one that basically heals him. The pistol shot's going to be going after Gotrek, and it looks like the Slayers and Grombrindle are going to be going for a pit fight against the Carronade crew, which is fine. Gets rid of some of the bodies here. And if he's fighting amongst the cannon crew, then that means, yeah. And the Slayers obviously probably don't want to fight the cannon crew. This is it. This is the final battle. It's been an absolute nail-biter of a game. So Grombrindle has no fear has been popped, which makes all the Dwarves unbreakable for a period of time. Might have been a little bit preemptive, for sure. But we'll see if Gromby and Gotrek can do this. I don't know. It's looking like Vampire Coast might be able to pull it out just because of how many Syrenes there are. But if Grombrindle is able to, at least take out one group of the Syrenes and leave Gotrek with everything else, maybe. Ammunition, there's 8 shots left here on the Vampire Fleet Admiral. The final battle for the fate of Middle-earth. Dragonback Slayers, active. Only 6 of them left. That's certainly pretty bleak. And here you can see these Syrenes are in critical binding. Gotrek's going hard. He does finish off the cannon crew. And these Syrenes are broken as well. So pulling them back, or not broken, but they're running. But yeah, their leadership is broken is what I meant to say. So yeah, Gromby needs to keep hiding amongst amongst the enemies here. If he can kind of sit behind them, you can see the Vampire Fleet Admiral has its ammo, so he should use all of that. It has 7 shots left. Oh, a lone Slayer charges in there. Gotrek's Doom is active, and I don't know, even though it is Vampire Coast favored here, I still think both players have a chance here. I still think the Dwarves have a chance. Because Gotrek is an absolute terror in the night. He is. And you can see all the Vampire Coast stuff is breaking. And if that crab has to fight Gotrek in combat, and Grombrindle's not breaking either. Negative 13. If Gromby breaks, okay, that's a terror route, which means he will come back. Grombrindle should be immune to psychology. That's really stupid. I mean, he's literally the White Dwarf. One of the most iconic, terrifying, units ever. But yeah, good conservative play with Arkin. He's going to be able to chase off Gromrindle. But now Gotrek is basically just going to go deep here. And if Gotrek gets the really good regenerations, there's certainly a chance he can win this. Gromrindle's going to get chased off by Fellbats. Slayer, oh, a nice invocation, saving that for the late game. As far as ammo goes, there's only one left here on the Vampire Fleet Admiral. Oh man, this is a close battle, but it looks like, I mean, army losses doesn't even matter though, is the thing. And Gotrek's trying his heart out, but he's fully surrounded here by a lot of monsters, a lot of spooky stuff. Critical binding on most of these units. But again, the Fortitude has the chance to heal him. So if he gets the procs and gets some fat heals, it could be, you know, a wild battle. But I think with the Fellbats and all these units, that is a... I mean, I never would have thought Sirens would have an application in this matchup, but I guess they give you the sustainability to fight against the Dwarves. 954 here. And Vampire Fleet Admiral in pretty good shape. I mean, the Crab... Oh, there's the heal right there, and you can see, look at that. Look at the bounce of power ebb. Oh my god, that's so good. And Gotrek suddenly just raid bosses. Oh my god. Man, look at this. This is just absolute insanity. Gotrek is just going strong, guys. He might be able to pull this out. That would be just ludicrous. Because now the Sirens are crumbling, which means they're just going to disappear. If Gotrek gets another heal, maybe. 168 there, he took a big blow. Is Gotrek going to meet his doom? And he does. And that's going to be a game for Arkin. So Arkin will go up there. 2-1. Man, that was an insane game. Just well played to both those players. Arrow and Arkin both played a really tight game there. But Gotrek almost pulled it out. He almost pulled that out. All right, so let's go ahead and update the scoreboard. It's going to be 2-1. So Arrow on the ropes, but of course, we all know he's capable of coming back. Both players here are. Gotrek. Oh my god, Gotrek was just going ham. So let's go ahead and get the next game ready. Well played. GG, well played. So let's go ahead and, what map do we want to do? We will do the Altar of Outskirts. Okay, he's talking about, I don't know, some lore stuff. We'll see what they do now. This is a real tight one. I wonder what Arrow's going to go with. Gotrek almost did it. Oh, the blood runs cold. Yeah, the Sirens. So, Flying Taco in chat, who of course is already qualified, says, I used to bring Sirens here, and then I stopped when they started dying to ruins. I should definitely start using them again since they got rid of that rune damage. Yeah, because that was the thing. Rune of Wrath and Ruin used to do damage. It was basically just dumped on Sirens. But now that it's gone, huh. Yeah, I mean, Optimus Pine, there you go. Yeah, the bat play was really good. Just like chasing off the scraps. All right, guys. So here it is. We'll see what they do for picks and bans. Both players obviously know this is the Grand Pumbaa finale. So they're probably scheming some picks here. Oh, man, what time is it now? It's almost 3, geez. Hopefully the camera store is still open. Should be. It should be indeed. And thank you guys so much for your support today. Appreciate you guys sticking around. I know it's been a long stream. We had some technical difficulties, but that's the nature of Total War Warhammer, unfortunately. But nonetheless, it's been a great time spending all this time with you guys and my lovely wife, and that is that. All right, there we go. When Elves camp in the corner, is that White Lion camping? That's pretty good, Optimus Pine. Dude, you're great with the puns, man. So Arrow's going to go Tomb Kings, and he's banning Empire. So I wonder if Arkin will go with Vampire Counts. I know that's one of his other factions. We haven't seen them. But yeah, Arrow is an extremely good Tomb Kings player. Like, extremely good. So, man, this could go to Game 5. This could go to Game 5. All these games have been just very long and technical. And we get High Elves. A High Elf pick. Interesting. So we saw how he played High Elves before. He brought a ton of White Lions with the Fireborn. But again, that was a different matchup, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I'm curious how Arrow will play this. Or is he going to go Vampire Counts? Looks like he has Counts selected. This could be interesting. Oh, man, I got to stretch. I am just not limber, my friends. It looks like he's going to pick Counts. He's been sitting on them for a moment, so I would imagine it's going to be Counts. Navi, we're in the finals, man. We're in the grand finals. The battle to decide the fate of Middle Earth. So Arkin picks counts. So the thing is Arkin mains the undead factions. So what has he played? So he's played counts, he played coast, and then in the first game he lost, he played Tomb Kings. Now, if Arrow can get through this game, if he can beat Arkin's vampires, from what I understand, he really likes the main vampire, the undead faction. So that would perhaps be a nice opening for Arrow there. But again, I'm not sure. I've only seen Arkin play in a couple of my tournaments. So yeah. We'll see if the Arrow Titan, there could be an Arrow Titan pick. That's pretty ballsy. Hold on, guys. I'm going to do some stretching back here. Oh, man. Those shoulders are tense. I wonder if my standing desk is the right height. I feel like every time I switch my standing desk to a different height, something else hurts. If it's at this height, my traps hurt, right behind my traps. But if it's a little bit more, my wrists hurt more. It's I gotta hire an ergonomic specialist to look at it or something. I don't know. Tomb Kings versus Vampire Council. Quite the feud. We got a donation coming in from Magic D. ECL is the best. 500 likes should be doable. Thank you so much, Magic D. And yes, it should be very doable. Thank you, guys. And Magic D, thank you as always. Kelleran says, I only just started watching Warhammer 2 content online. Stoked I stumbled upon the stream. Hey, welcome, man. Gorst equals Palpatine. Help me, Manfred. I'm so weak. Manfred, help. I can't stop the Empire. I'm too weak. So yeah, Arkin's ready. Arrow with some fine-tuning to his build here. Very exciting stuff indeed. And we'll see what they pick. All right. I'm good. I'm holding strong, Wraith. The Arrow Titan is on his faction. Of course, we saw him representing the Tomb Kings in the faction war. As a matter of fact, Arrow Krasnik is playing in the next faction war. However, this time he's going to be representing the High Elves, which should be interesting to see what he brings there. We'll see what Arkin does here. Of course, the winner of this will be qualifying for the grand finals of ECL Season 4. And maybe for the next ECL season, we'll do something a little bit spicy. We'll mix it up and do a faction war format. Or I may even take a quick break from an ECL season and just have the World Cup qualifiers. And then we have the grand finales with the teams. We'll see. We will see. 4 black coaches. Turin, if you want, I'll hold your ankles while you stretch your hammies. That brings me back to high school track and field. All right, here we go, guys. Arrow on the ropes, down but not out. And we're going to see if he comes in with the Arrow Titan against Arkin. A little bit, I don't know. I think the Sphinx is just so much better. But again, the Arrow Titan does give you the Winds of Magic, and Spirit Leech is always nice as well. I wonder if he'll go with missile play, like Skeleton Archers who shop to Great Bows. Yeah, Arkin's builds are so unorthodox. It's pretty wild, to say the least. So yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it to it. Here we go. The Altdorf outskirts. Somehow the Vampire Counts and the Tomb Kings just wound up outside Altdorf, and they're like, hey, let's just fight. The winner can have the Empire. We'll see. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting. One sec, guys. Sure, for the next faction wars, it'll be interesting to see sports league-wise. Multiple games go to different factions, and the best 2 go through. Huh. I'll have to read that comment again later. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to ideas. I'm working on the format, so I think having an open tournament faction wars would be really fun, but I don't know. Well, we'll be doing faction wars once a month. I think keeping it as a bit of a novelty is fun. And then doing ECLs and World Cup type stuff in between, more standard. All right, so for the forces of the Tomb Kings, let's take a look. He's got Sneaky Snakes, so 2 groups of Necropolis Knights with halberds. Cetra the Imperishable on the Chariot of the Gods. Hell yes. This is what we saw Arrow win the Everchosen with. And on top of that, he's got Skeleton Warriors and Spears across the whole front line. Most Vampire Count players usually just play with chaff, so just having Skeletons is fine. And 1 group of Ushopti Great Bows to keep Arkin honest, force him into combat. The Sphinx of Usef here with anti-large. And fire damage, of course, is very, very good against the Goose. This thing is great against vampires. And for the Vampire Counts, let's take a look. We do have Skeleton Warriors. We got the Konigstein Stalkers. We do also have a Corpse Cart in the back to buff up the chaff. The Claw of Nagash, interesting choice. You normally don't see Mortis Engines brought against Tomb Kings, but I mean, it could be good against a mass infantry build. We'll see how it plays out. Over here, we do have a Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, and we do also have a Goose. So yeah, just a classic Goose squad. There are some Hounds. He has some Direwolves Vanguard deployed on the edges of the map, but as far as that, not too many skirmishing elements. So Again, guys, Arkin is an undead specialist, so if Arrow can, get this game, it'll be pretty big for him in the overall picture of the series. And if Arkin the Black does win this, he will take this series 3-1 and will be advancing on to, face some serious competition. He already is, but more serious competition, more of it. Chosen of the Gods coming forward. Tomb Kings, honestly, Tomb Kings could probably take up a little refuge here and really kind of deny this whole angle for the Scurvy Dogs. The Chosen of the Gods probably going to shoot in at I don't know what they'll shoot, maybe the Claw of Nagash or something. They're a little bit better versus multi-unit things like Blood Knights, but quite curious. Of course, the game we saw Arrow take in the beginning of the series was with Chariots. He was able to use the Chaos Chariots to very great effect against the Tomb Kings lines. So we'll see if he can use the Chariot of the Gods once again. You got to be careful. Cetra can get gooned pretty good, but he does do fire damage. So the Ushapti Great Bow shooting in. Oh, these are actually Graveguard. Okay, so Arkin does have Graveguard mixed in there. 2 of them. All right, so he has some troop quality. It seems like he, a lot of vampire players, from what I see, just bring skeletons and zombies, but he actually brings a fair amount of Graveguard. So here comes the Cetra play. Cetra looking to maybe hammer into the front line, cause some problems. Tomb Kings moving forward as a unit here. The Sneaky Snake Knights, the Halberd Knights, if they're able to catch up a Terror Goose or something like that, could be very devastating. And here comes the Chariot charge. So basically, he's going to charge in, hammer the Graveguard, and maybe pull back. You can see Arkin wants to charge with the Terror Goose. He's actually going to commit to it. Wow. And he gets some good damage. That's a nice little freebie right there. And the Sneaky Snakes are charging in now. And let's see if the Terror Goose gets back up. Now, here's what Arrow could do. He could potentially pull Cetra around and pin in the Goose, but it looks like the Goose is going to be able to get away. So, a bit of a tight situation for both players there. In the meantime, the Claw of Nagash taking firepower from the Chosen of the Gods. Chosen of the Gods going to be running forward to get away from the Scurvy Dog pressure in the back line. And why are these Halberds not turning around? Just attacking the Claw of Nagash for sure. Go for that. So Claw of Nagash in some serious trouble right here, but the one issue is, never mind, the breath attack was used. I was going to say, if you blob up like this, the breath attacks could be very punishing. Helm of Discord, both players just going balls deep to this engagement. And the Helm of Discord will give the advantage probably to the vampire counts in some respects, but in terms of just sheer numbers, there's way more Sneaky Snake Knights here. Now, it looks like Cetra and company is going to be pulling back. A little bit of damage taken on the Sphinx here with the Helm of Discord active. Of course, its melee defense is very, very low. And the Scurvy Dogs are getting worked down, but, still doing some harass. Forcing those guys forward was really nice. And, oh, this is dangerous. Oh, man, he just barely pulled up in time. That Terrorgeist almost got caught in a very bad situation. So now the Sneaky Snake Cab going to be charging in once again, getting a good engagement here. Arrow with a really nice timing strike. Able to goon this Blood Dragon Vampire Lord while he does not have the Helm of Discord active. So some Cryptors are coming in to try and help. Nice saturated fire from the Chosen of the Gods. Probably should keep focusing down that Claw of Nagash to get that steady value. And you can see the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord has been forced back while the Terrorgeist is still doing its thing. So here comes the Claw of Nagash, charging in once again, going to be draining down all the Skeleton Warriors and all the chaff units. But the Vampire counts on a bit of a retreat here, as the engagement here in the center does lead to a lot of damage here on the Claw of Nagash. Sneaky Snake Knights falling back once again, probably going to be going to intercept these Skeleton Warriors over here. And now the Sphinx is just going to be falling back on top of some spears, and a more kind of cautious approach now is going to be switched to, I think, for Arrow. Chosen of the Gods are able to get back. And yeah, I think killing that Claw of Nagash is pretty important, because even if it doesn't do a ton of damage against these type of units like Necropolis Knights, it still will heal up not the constructs, but the big vampiric units like the Terror Goose and the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. So the Sphinx is coming back in. Cetra is still in good shape. Nice little breath attack right there into some Skeleton Warriors. Not terribly devastating, but nonetheless, these skeletons over here should get crumbled by the onslaught of Sneaky Snakes. Granted, they're tanking actually relatively well. Chariot charging in once again, going after the Stalkers, and it looks like the big Sphinx is thinking about going in for the Claw of Nagash, but I think Arkin reacted quick enough, saw the Sphinx coming, pulled back, and yeah, it looks like this is going to be potentially a landing attempt. No, it looks like a very, very cautious play there. Skeletons are still not crumbling. Man, maybe sending some spears to target those guys would be the right play, but yeah, both players very hesitant to engage with their big assets. But the thing is there's a ticking time bomb for the vampire counts. Wrath of Patrol going down right there. Blood Dragon Vampire Lord thinking about engaging, but it looks like Cetra is going to be able to get back. Yeah, you can see Arrow with a really good jukes. Helm of Discord actually is popped there, so Arrow was able to bait out the Helm of Discord cooldown, which is very, very nice. So spears are now going to be engaging here. Sneaky Snakes coming back across this direction. There still are some Graveguard to deal with too, which is going to be a little bit problematic. Chosen of the Gods still tar pitted here. But I would imagine that the Claw of Nagash is going to be the primary target. Nice breath attack coming in there from the Goose. You can see here the Cetra on the Chariot is going to be coming over to try and help clear out the Skeleton Chaff Infantry. But the Graveguard are going to become an issue eventually. Those things are no joke. Now, as far as that, we have zombies, we have the Stalkers here, we have Skeleton Warriors here, and it looks like 2 groups of full health Graveguard, which is a huge issue for Arrow. Even if it doesn't seem like it, it's steady pressure. Granted, I mean, if the Monsters fight goes to Arrow and Cetra is still alive, he can basically cycle charge those Graveguard into oblivion. So he's trying to bait the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord down. Claw of Nagash is crumbling. 800 HP. The Ushapti doing a really good job. And now the Halberd Cav are going to get a good engagement here against the Cryptors, perhaps. Cetra charging in. Cryptors going to be tar pitted by a bunch of Halberd units. And the summon was used back here, which is a good play, but it also now means that the Cryptors are definitely being really beaten down by the Cav units. Although, he's able to get most of them away. I think he only lost like a model or two. The Klav Nagash here at -18 leadership is crumbling in the distance. Cetra is basically riding through and getting huge damage against Graveguard, actually. Doing a solid job. But again, Blooddragon Vampire Lord's coming in. Nice Ushapti summon right there to tar pit those forces. But the gooning attempts coming in from the Vampire squad, but the Sphinx is nearby as well to attack the Blooddragon Vampire Lord. Looks like a breath attack was coming downtown. And the Mortis Engine is very low. 400 HP, -18, it's still crumbling. So Cetra's going to have some good jukes here because he doesn't want to be fighting like a goose or things like this. Arkin still also has some hounds in the back. He has the Dire Pack. I don't know if he forgot them or what's going on there, but he's got to be pretty careful with that. So the Ushapti summon certainly going to be helpful here. The Klav Nagash is still healing itself, of course, but now the Chosen of the Gods are firing once again, so it should be going down. And yeah, it's just really close fight. I mean, the Klav Nagash has gotten some really good value. Sneaky Snake Cav coming over here to help out against the monsters. And you can see the Sphinx is attacking a Goose, and Cetra is coming as well. Helm of Discord is active once again. And in the meantime, the Dire Pack trying to get around, but Arrow's screening really well. His spears are basically just following the Dire Pack. And we have an absolute just battle here, just going to the bitter end. The Graveguard helping. Zombies here. We have 75 Graveguard here. Chosen of the Gods shooting in as well. A Zombie Summon doing a pretty good job of actually fending those guys off. And it looks like the Tomb King Cav don't seem to be doing as much. Necropolis Knights with Halberds seem to be relatively inefficient in these trades. Not that they're in bad positions, but they just don't seem to be super effective against these big vampire monsters. Now, Arrow's going to pull back here. Balance is still really even. The Ushapti Summon is active, but, you know, Arkin was able to get these dogs back here and go after the Chosen of the Gods. So the Chosen of the Gods getting absolutely hunted down here by the Dire Pack and these different forces. And now comes the counterpunch. So Cetra is going to be going in, attacking the Terrorgeist. Here we have the Necropolis Knights with Halberds pulling back. And I think they're going to loop around and maybe try and get like a rear charge here. Like pin in the Blooddragon Vampire Lord, and maybe Cetra and the other character can get some good punch. So Snakes with a good charge here, doing some decent impact damage, also applying poison. But Cetra's taking a lot of work. He does have the Narrow's Incantation of Protection, which is going to be helpful, but it looks like the Vampire counts are going to pull ahead here simply because of this one play. The Chosen of the Gods got completely feasted on by the Dire Pack, which is a pretty wretched situation for the Tomb King. So that's an 1100 gold unit being hunted down by the pack, which is hard to defend. I mean, a couple Nehakar horsemen maybe could have helped to defend that, but even still. The Curse going down, certainly going to do some damage against the Vampires, help against the Graveguard more so than anything. Graveguard are in relatively dire straits, and the balance of power is certainly in the Vampire count's favor. Cetra is still holding on, and there are a fair amount of Skeleton Spearmen here, so it's certainly not over. If the Sphinx can get some good punches and some like good RNG with its mechanics here, maybe, but it's going to be really hard because these Gooses, and I would imagine the Blooddragon Vampire Lord still has some good punch left in him. Who knows? So we got 125 kills here on the Goose. We have 18. Looks like he's mostly been doing damage to single entities. Also, guys, something else to mention is there's still a Corpse Guard. The Corpse Guard here is like healing up all these guys. It's healing the Graveguard. It's providing melee attack to all these troops, making the fight, you know, even less efficient here for the Tomb Kings. So it looks like they're maybe doing a little bit of talking. Oh, vampire magic is the best, he says. And here you can see the Sphinx. The charge coming in. Cetra gets a nice charge. Sphinx going to be coming in for a counterpunch. This would be one of the only chances I think that Arrow would have is if he can like goon this Goose and then also win the fight against the Blooddragon Lord, which is a really tall order, especially with Helm of Discord. Blade of Batra is activated, and the Terrorgeist is taking a lot of damage, but it could be army losses soon, and I think that's going to be the case as there's still a full health group of Cryptors, and that is going to be a 3-1 victory for Arkin, and he is going to be qualifying for the Grand Finals. Well played to both players. Absolute scrap fests. Just serious cockfights. But I'm sure we'll be seeing Arrow back in future qualifiers as we're going to be having 2 more this week. So very well played. Man, that was a battle. An absolute cockfight. The sustainability of the infantry was quite nice, but really it's like, I feel like the Necropolis Knights just, like, I don't know. Maybe going for like another construct would have been better. Like these things just, I don't know. I've never been able to make them work myself, even though they have had some changes and things like that. But yeah, the Corpse Guard was quite good as well. That was not bad at all. So now we're going to update the scorecard. And let us go ahead and go to the letter. So again, very well played to both of these fine players and everyone who played in today's tournament. It was an absolute blast. We're going to be going to update the scorecard here. So let's go ahead and do this. And we're going to do, I don't know where the capitalization should be in that title, but there you have it, my friends. This is going to be the 6 who've qualified so far. A-Move Hacker, Falcon, Flying Taco, Tlaxlan Soothsayer, Imperator, and Arkin the Black. So, of course, they'll be playing in the Grand Finals, which will be coming up in the next month or so. And yeah, that was quite a run today, guys. We have a donation coming in from Aaron Larmore, donated $10. This money goes to the Wookiee and all the treats. I'll buy him some treats for you, man. No problem. No problem, brother. I got you covered. I got you covered indeed. And guys, hopefully you enjoyed the stream. The tournament is using the beta. And as far as the finals go, we're going to have 2 more qualifiers. I might do one either on Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. And then there's going to be one next weekend is Faction War. And then the last qualifier will be after that. So I'm not sure. I may even do 2 ECLs during the week. But again, I'll see what works with people's schedules. I like to do them during the week sometimes to make sure that, you know, folks who can't normally participate can participate. So these folks have all qualified. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream today. And that is pretty much going to be it today. So let's go ahead and go to the challenge screen and we can recap that. So we're going to update the score. So that was 1, 1, 1, and 1. What is that now? Why does that? That should work. Okay, well, you guys get the picture. We'll show you the challenge. So we're going to go to the challenge page here. So let's pull it up. So Arkin the Black was able to take the victory here in the finals in this best of 5. And a pretty solid run for sure with solid victories. I don't think he only dropped 1 game against Zyphos in the beginning, who obviously is a top tier competitor as well. Aerocrastic with an outstanding run as well. 2-0 against my son. He was able to beat Zero, a top tier Chaos player. And yeah, just played well, played extremely well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm sure all these players will be back for more. Again, these are open. So for anyone who wants to play in future qualifiers, please let me know. And we'll get you in the Discord. If the mods could drop a link to the Discord, that'd be helpful for the tournament stuff. And yeah, that is it for today. Some gold to feed that evil hack. Toss a coin to your turn. Thank you guys so much. You guys are super generous. My goodness. And yes, do drop a like on the way out. It helps out quite a bit. The Beast Ninja says, just played a 1v1 versus Anticity. Was actually very close, surprising. Hey man, Anticity's a really good player. So props to you for that. And keep practicing, man. You'll get there for sure. So again, guys, I want to thank you all for joining today. Here's the letter of the folks. We got A-Move Hacker, Falcon, Flying Taco, Tlaxlan Soothsayer, Imperator, and Arkin the Black qualified so far. The grand finals will probably be at the end of this month, so stay tuned for that. And I just want to sincerely thank you all for joining. It's been an absolute blast, and we'll see you guys relatively soon. Take care.